Good evening again, racing fans. Edison Hatter here hosting the third edition of First Over Live, Roundtable edition here. And this time our big races at hand is the Breeders' Crown, the 2022 championships coming up this year up at Woodbine Mohawk Park. So start with some introduction of my panelists as usual. There's Mike Pribozie there to my immediate right, wearing the Hambo hat. He is up there in person from a hotel room in Canada. Mike, how are we doing tonight?
Doing great. We come to the big races, Hambo, Breeders' Crown. I'll be there.
So we have plenty of guest promos everyone can give here as we go through it, introductions, and on the other side of it on the outro. So Mike, for you, Nahu picks as usual, lots of content this weekend.
Yeah, full cards for Woodbine, and I do them every night. So you're going to get the expanded version here for this weekend.
I'll go below me next, Derick Giwner, the editor of the DRF Harness. He is sporting a Bulldog Hanover t-shirt there, fastest standardbred in history. And Derick, for you, DRF newsletter just came out today. A lot of content as well this weekend for the big races.
Yeah, I actually had some people contact me saying they really liked it. So that's always nice to know that someone's reading what you're doing. drf.com/harness. You can go on there and just click on newsletter at the top if you don't get it emailed, and you can check it all out. There's lots of picks, analysis, elimination stuff, a lot of good stuff in there, I think.
Now, Derick is still in the home office right now, but I believe you told us afternoon flight tomorrow, you will be up in Canada for the weekend.
Hopefully by 1:30, 2 o'clock, I'll be in the Canadian region, and we'll make our way to Mohawk sometime before post time.
Well, next we'll slide over there, Garnet Barnsdale, who contributes to the DRF Harness. And the Garnet, I can't tell, what content do we have there on your clothing tonight?
Well, I had a 18-1 winner on top and $123 ice cold double if you follow my picks tonight.
It pays to follow DRF Harness, right?
It pays to follow DRF Harness. I'm just happy to be here with the cream of the creme of handicappers. And
Well, that didn't take long to get in there. Diagonally from me, that is Ray Cotolo. Ray Cotolo contributing to DRF Harness as well. And Ray most recently produced another great episode of Harness Land for Horse Racing Nation. Opportunity for some of our thoroughbred listeners out there maybe trying to learn about the sport. They can listen to Ray's info if you have 5 minutes of your time to waste.
Yes, hello. It's not waste, like much entertainment. Actually, Harness Land ranks as some of the more efficient TV out there. If you ever try and watch that Law and Order show, it takes a whole gosh dang like 58 minutes versus Harness Land, which is of the similar quality production-wise. You can get through that in 5 to 10 minutes. 10 minutes for some of the episodes if you go at half speed. I got to go get some hot water, though, gents, so keep on with the introductions. I'll be back.
10 minutes of Harness Land is like it's like an hour of real time of your life, though.
Well, next up, Robert Reid Jr., who gets the credit here for my lovely Twitter poll of how do I get through the Ray Cotolo stuff tonight? Do I go for the alcoholic cocktail or the hot tea with honey? Both was the answer, Robert. Look at that. We got them both. There's my alcoholic cocktail. Nice little maraschino cherries and vodka. And there's my hot tea with honey.
There's a extra large steep tea with honey, and the other ones will come after. I think I'll need them to get through the headache that we're about to all get from Ray.
Now, Robert Reid Jr., a very busy man this weekend. Of course, the Horse Players Journal author up there at Woodbine Mohawk. 2 very big nights of racing up there. Give us an insight. How long approximately does it take you to come up with your complete analysis for this weekend?
Horse Players Journal, well, typically, I do like to spend a lot of time on it. So I would say on an average journal, it's about 6 hours or so for me to write it and do the job that I'd like to be able to do. I actually had to do both days over the course of one day. So I spent literally pretty much an entire day and night doing the 2 journals for the Breeders' Crown, just because the deadline was a little bit sooner. But yeah, I mean, obviously I want to spend a little more time on those ones there. So all in all, over the 2 was probably about 14, 15 hours of, whether looking through PPs, watching replays, even texting people and trying to get some insight that I can put in the journal. So the bigger days, I like spending more time as well. You kind of forget things over the years that then come back into play, like the fact that when Doves Cry in Atlanta, neither of them have won a Breeders' Crown, which I even had some people say that they actually were going to try to fact check me on that and tell me I was wrong, and then they did, and of course, neither have. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of time, but a lot of fun.
Well, that should give you a pretty good insight for our listeners out there into how much dedication all of my panelists have in this big weekend, preparing as best we possibly can to give you the best information we can. Before we dive into the racing, which we're going to do quickly because we got a lot of stuff to cover, just like to thank our sponsors here, of course, Woodbine Mohawk Park, the Hamiltonian Society. They are co-sponsoring this roundtable, of course, In the Money Media. We always thank them for their support of our shows as well. And it is, of course, the Breeders' Crown. It all comes down to the Breeders' Crown in harness racing. We're in the championship stretch of the Woodbine Standardbred season, and Woodbine Mohawk is proud to present the 2022 edition of the Breeders' Crown, presented by Libfield and Katz. There are 2 more intense nights of racing ahead. They are, of course, tomorrow night and Saturday night, and they feature the Breeders' Crown Championship Finals. Again, Friday, October 28th, Saturday, October 29th. And on Saturday in particular, the wagering menu is excellent. It features an early, a middle, and a late pick 5. We'll give out tickets for the early and the middle pick 5s because they are both pools that are guaranteed at $100,000. And then there are early and late pick 4s as well that will start in races 4 to 9. For the pick 5s, it's races 1, 6, and 8. There are 12 races on the Friday card, 12 races on the Saturday card. There are 12 Breeders' Crown Championship races. And, of course, stay tuned to these airwaves, this show, for a lot of great handicapping content. And also check out InTheMoneyPodcast.com to get all your Breeders' Crown information. And that includes some great write-ups that we got from some contributors as well that weren't part of this roundtable here, but we appreciate their written content. And that comes from Rod Allums Jr., John Rallis, and Ryan Willis. And again, you can find their write-ups on the internet there for all 12 championship races. So with that, let's just jump right into it. Let's get to the Friday evening action. Races 6 through 9 will be the championship 2-year-old finals. It was pouring rain in East Rutherford, New Jersey last Friday for the 2-year-old finals. So hopefully a little better weather up there in Canada, albeit a little chilly. But race 6 will start off. The 2-year-old Colt Trot, $810,000 is on the line. Killmister received the bye. Celebrity Bambino won one of the eliminations, and Gaines Hanover won the other elimination. And Ray Cotolo had to do some write-ups as well for these 2-year-old races. So I know he told me he has some 2-year-old factoids to throw at us, so I'll throw it to him.
Are we doing introductions again? I'm Ray Cotolo, creator, producer of Harness Land, which you can find on Horse Racing Nation. We did that already? Okay, here's a factoid about this race. Y'all ready for this? Okay, so 2-year-old trotting colts and geldings. They're 2 big races, the Peter Houghton Memorial and the William Wellwood Memorial. Since 1984, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 horses have won both the Peter Houghton and the Breeders' Crown in the same year. You're going, okay, well, what about the Wellwood? Pretty similar number. 8 horses, and that includes when it was the Campbellville Trot pre-2001. So 8 horses have won both the Wellwood, or whatever else it was called before then, and the Breeders' Crown in the same year. On a streak, did it in 2020 to win the Wellwood and the Breeders' Crown. This year, that means Winner's Bet is trying to add his name to that roster. Killmister trying to add his name to the Houghton roster.
Well, Ray, we'll start with you for the handicapping purposes. Will either one of them do that?
No, I hate both of them. In my opinion, which is the only thing I can really give on shows like this, I did not like how Owell looked last week. I thought even though he had a month off, so granted he could be a bit better this time around, 56-second final half, I thought he should have had a little bit more chase to him than he put in against Celebrity Bambino. And from that outside post, it seems like Owell's going to be looking to trip out versus Celebrity Bambino, who I know is going to be towards the front. He's going to sit somewhere close, and his only threat is if he somehow gets locked at the inside, or maybe if he gets lonely on the lead. I don't know. Point being, with how I look at this race setting up time and time again, I unfortunately fall into the I see Celebrity Bambino winning more often than not, because Gaines Hanover is the other pace threat in this race. I know it's a trot, but they can also have pace too. He's the other pace threat, tempo threat, whatever you want to say, but he has the inside. So I don't know. The only way he's going to try and maybe do what he does best, which is steal on the front, is maybe if he quarter moves to the lead. I don't know if he can sustain that. Things just seem to work out for Celebrity Bambino here.
Derick has his hand up. Derick, go for it.
Yeah, I definitely have my hand up for a couple reasons. First of all, I'm pretty sure that none of the 10 drivers in this race think anything like Ray Cotolo. So for him to try and figure out what they're all going to do, you could just throw that out the window. That's the first thing. Second thing is 12 races, right? This is the race that I like the best, as far as this is the pick. If I had to have one best bet of the 12, this would be it. I love Owell. You know, I love him even more now that Reid doesn't like him.
Me too.
Came up
You
short.
can have your favorites if I care.
Came up short. I don't even. He's 3-1 in the morning line. I don't see him being a heavy favorite. Maybe he goes off at 3-1. He came up short last time, but he hadn't raced in 4 weeks. I mean, everything I've heard said basically that Nylander really didn't do much with him. Just tried to keep him fresh. He should be much sharper. Look, he's been in 4 big money finals. Here's the stat for you: 4 big money finals so far this year. He won 3 of them, finished second in 1 of them. This guy shows up when the money's on the line. Timmy's gonna float away with this horse a little bit. If there's a hole, he'll take it. If there's not, I think he'll go on to the front. And I think Owell is the best horse in this race.
Garnet?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I also like the one next door to him, Winner's Bet, and I'll tell you why. They were both so passively driven last week. I think both these horses got exactly what they wanted, exactly what they needed out of those races. They're going to be more aggressively driven here. I had Celebrity Bambino third. I'm going to use him a bit. I'm completely against Killmeister. He's been no good for a while. He missed time. I'm against a lot of these horses that took buys. Because some of these, so many of these horses looked really sharp last week. But I like Owell on top, but I'm going to use Winner's Bet quite a bit too, because I think they were passively driven with a purpose last week, and I think you're going to see 2 very different colts tomorrow night.
Mike?
Well, I sort of agree with Ray in the sense that I like Celebrity Bambino because he gets a post switch. He was driven with a purpose last week. He was driven aggressive, and I think that he thrived on that. And now he doesn't have to necessarily take it to them early. He can get a trip in the race, and Yannick is going to be probably 1-2. I think that he's going to be able to dictate, and he's going to be the one that's in front in the top of the stretch. They're going to have to catch him. And I like the fact that he's improving. I think that he's coming into the race better than a lot of the other ones who, whether it be passive or aggressive or whatever, just seemed to falter last week. So he seems like the sharp one. He's going to be probably the third choice in the race. So you're going to get a price. You have the right post, the right style. I agree with Ray. I like the 4.
Thank you, Mike.
Robert?
I like Gaines Hanover. I know he's got the rail and not the best place to be at Mohawk Park. No question about it. Didn't really get much of a reward for winning his elimination. But the thing about Gaines Hanover is if you take out that miscue he made in the Wellwood, he hasn't turned in a bad effort. And really the effort after that was great. I mean, he actually did look pretty good after he made that break in stride. He's a horse that I think is underrated and still underrated coming into this. He took a lot of support last time down to 5-2. I think he's going to probably be even better priced this time around because a lot of people are going to doubt him, especially from that starting spot. But he's been fantastic. He's been a horse that I thought, again, the record, his earnings don't really indicate how good he's been. And that's who I'm going to side with. I like the theory on Owell. Yeah, of course. Last time, I think we're reading into it too much. Disappointing as a heavy favorite, was off time. I think he should rebound with a better effort, but it's post 9. Killmister, I think that, he's got, every really reason to come back with a better effort as well. But I'm going with Gaines Hanover, home field advantage. The only thing I don't like is the post position.
I have one more stat for this race. I forgot to share. Of all of the divisions, this one has crowned the most divisional champions. 27 winners of this race have received 2-year-old trotting colt of the year. Go on, Barnsdale.
I was going to say, when you look at the overall scope of these 12 races, there's some races that stick out that kind of look like it's going to boil down to 1 or 2 or 3 horses. This race, I think, has the possibility of horses really mixing it up with those horses drawn into the 8 and 9 hole. And, if somebody likes a 20 or 30 to 1 shot in this race that they think might sneak past them late, this is one of the races where I could potentially see it happening.
Well, it'll be Celebrity Bambino for me on top. Oh, well, I like to rebound as well. So 4-9 for me. The 8 Winners Bet, I know, Garnet, you mentioned a little bit. Yeah, watching that replay, I can't quite tell, but he definitely had that breaker in front of him at the top of the stretch. Maybe got a little tight tooth through the stretch. So I don't know, maybe something to improve there on. I mean, he wasn't
used at all in that race. Where do you see Dexter Dunn sit 4th for the entire race and then just move over to? He wasn't used at all in that race, not a step. And I think it's going to be much different tomorrow night.
He could have been afraid he was going to run again, though. I mean,
he also wasn't really that good at Lexington. He just chased a horse that had his shoes off.
He was
going to be right there in the million if he didn't break. He was going to be.
He would have probably been second.
Winner, I think. But We'll see.
I started with the 4 celebrity Bambino. Several of us do. A couple of us, one vote as well for Gaines Hanover. And we will quickly acknowledge all of our listeners out there. We got several of them. Kevin Plouch is tuned in as well as usual. Dynamic Ace 23 on YouTube. JD Varnell is checking in from Central Ontario. Mark Anderson, thanks us all for joining as usual. Mac Wolf is apparently a fan of Ray. That's probably something wrong.
Oh, what's up, Mackie boy? Long time no see.
JD Varnell saying, for Future Stars Friday on Friday night, it is very similar to the Breeders' Crown in that sense. In fact, the whole concept, Breeders' Crown, I think Ray Cotolo said in Harness Land, it all goes up to the cup and down to the crown.
Yeah, it's oddly directional.
Mark Anderson loves the 4. That's Celebrity Bambino in race 6. JD Varnell is also going with Celebrity Bambino. Mac Wolf. Kevin Plouch is saying loves GB point as well about being a better second start back, aggressively driven from the outside. 9183 for Kevin Plouch in race 6. Let's go to race 7. That's the 2-year-old filly pace final, $810,000.
How about this for one?
Sylvia Hanover versus Charleston, the Elim winners. They square off again after facing off in that Great Lady final just a month ago. Ray Cotolo, have at it.
Sylvia Hanover is trying to accomplish something that wasn't done until JK She's a Lady did it in 2014. JK She's a Lady was the first horse ever to win the She's a Great Lady and the Breeders' Crown in the same year. After that, only 2 other fillies have been able to do it. You Are My Candy Girl in 2017 and Nikki Hill last year. 3 horses in 38 years have been able to pull off both. And interestingly enough, this race and the 2-year-old filly Trot, I believe it's the 2-year-old filly Trot, yes, have had the same number of winners crowned divisional champ at 21 of the 38.
Can you move the camera around? I just want to see if Bob Hayden's in the room.
I was going to say, he's like a poor man's Bob Hayden. I was just going to say that.
Well, Ray, I guess
definitely true.
Ray, back to you with the question like last race. Does Sylvia Hanover add her name to that list?
No, because she has to get past my pal Brett Pelling, who has primed Charleston for this race. I loved how she looked after that time off from the She's a Great Lady. That was a different horse I saw between that final and that elimination. It seems like she has a lot more in her tank this time around. And Sylvia Hanover, I don't know why Bob has to chase her every week. It seems like that is going to somehow play to her disadvantage when she faces a horse that seems to have developed a bit more oomph like Charleston has in the last couple of weeks. The downside is I don't really know what kind of price difference you're going to get between the two. And they might be the same price going to the gate.
So, Robert, what did you make of Sylvia Hanover's elimination last week where had to lead at one point, kind of shoveled back to third, tipped outside in the stretch, came back on and did it willingly?
Well, she's been that way pretty much from the beginning, right? I mean, they say that she's kind of a lazy type on the front end, but there's no bottom to her, right? I mean, also trying to steal those fractions at Mohawk Park might work on most nights. It's not going to work when guys like Dexter Dunner are in town. So I thought that was a real slick move by Dexter to come around them on the turn. And I mean, yeah, there was some, tenuous moments there for people that backed Sylvia Hanover as a favorite, but she still came by them with relative ease at the end. And I think she's a real special filly, and I think that we haven't seen anywhere near her best because of the type of horse that she is, but she's one that still manages to get the job done, and I think we're going to see that again from her. I've been ultra impressed with her from day one. Her only defeat came when she started from the second tier, which is an absolute death spot at Mohawk Park, as we all know. And other than that, she's been absolutely perfect. So Sylvia Hanover for me is the horse that you've got to be on here. I thought Charleston's been really good. And yeah, it was a nice elimination last time to come out of that defeat from Sylvia Hanover, but I still don't think she gets the better of her.
I need the panel's vote here because this is an important thing too. How many of us believe that Bob let Dexter go in that elimination by a show of hands? All right, there we go. That's the vote.
Mike, your thoughts on this race?
I don't know. I'm sort of against Sylvia Hanover only because I think that she'll get bet. She'll be the favorite, and I think there are others in the race that have an equal chance to beat her at better prices. I like Strong Poison. I really like that elimination. She was gunned initially from the 8-hole and controlled the race. Got picked off late by Charleston. I think it's those two. I mean, they went 50-4 in that elimination. I feel like they're going to take it to them again. They're not going to mess around here. And I like Yannick and Burke when they're up close, when they have power. And you know what kind of trip you're going to get from him. There's not going to be any playing around with this horse. He's going to be up close. He's going to be the one that you're going to have to beat late. So I like him and Charleston. I think it's those two. And, the McSee side, Sylvia Hanover, do they have a chance? Of course they do. But I just feel like that the price difference that you're going to get, especially on Strong Poison, with an equal chance to win, maybe even a little better chance to win than some of the others, I want that one.
Well, Mike, Kevin Plauch will join you as well. 2159 for him. Strong Poison on top. Garnet, how about you?
Listen, I've been riding the Sylvia Hanover train all summer. I don't see any reason to jump off it now. She had every reason to get beat last week, and she still won by a length. She easily handled Charleston in the She's a Great Lady. I'm a little more interested in the other one I'm probably going to use in the multi-legs is this McSee side. She paced a 26 1/3 quarter making that move, and she was still pretty stubborn at the end of it. So, I don't want horses starting from the inside in this race. I don't think Strong Poison is going to make the front. He maybe makes a middle move to make it to the front, but there's going to be horses leaving her from the middle of the gate for sure. So, I agree with Mike's.
Do you think the 4 and 5 leave though? Do you think they're up close? Because if they don't leave, the other ones 6, 7, 8, they're not going.
Yeah, I think the 4 and 5 leave for sure.
Okay,
and maybe a horse like. No, probably not. You're probably right. Nobody else outside of them's leaving.
Maybe
but
the 9.
I think you're right about the price, though. I think she's probably going to be overbet, Sylvia Hanover. Because I don't think she's a lock. These are some nice horses in this race, right? Like the one. I think the 1, 2, 4, or 5 could all win the race. But you wanted a top pick. I'm going to stick with Sylvia Hanover.
Derick?
I like 1, 4, 5, 2, 9, 3 in that order. It's going to come down to the board for me. I like Charleston as my top pick. I feel like the last time she met up with Sylvia Hanover, everything went Sylvia Hanover's way. She said soft fractions, 125 and change. They came home with 26. What was she going to do? You can't come home much faster than 26 and 1. Obviously, that wasn't enough from the pocket. But that being said, if somehow I look up at the board and, Charleston's 8 to 5, I'm not playing Charleston at 8 to 5. So it really comes down to what price I'm going to get. I too, like Garnet, was very impressed with what McSee side did. As impressive as that was, you still see Don ended up on Charleston. So I don't know what that says.
I end up with Sylvia Hanover on top for me over Charleston, but Ray does make a good point, though. I'm definitely intrigued a little bit in following the progression from the last time they met up. It does seem like Charleston really took a step forward last time out, so I don't know. I'm intrigued to see how this matchup goes, but yeah, for multi-purposes, I think you got to kind of pick one way or the other. If you're between those two, for me, I'll take Sylvia Hanover. That'll be my single, I think, in this pick 5 on Friday night. Listeners out there, John Rallis is tuned in here. Strong Poison fan for him. Stuck chasing a filly in Lexington who would arguably be chalk in the field. I believe he refers to Twin Beat Joe Fresh. Mm-hmm. And for JD Varnell, he goes with Charleston. And here's the full drawn-out timeline from JD. Charleston he's going with in this race, but then a win here, the Matron at Dover, and the 3 Diamonds of the Meadowlands, and it's divisional honors for her. That's going really far ahead there. All right, race 8 we turn to next. That is the 2-year-old filly trot. They go for $810,000. 1 elimination, 2 buys, Instagram model. Let's see, what's the Ray Cotolo phrasing? She earned the buy.
Yeah, because she had to win.
Righteous Resolve, what, was just offered it?
Yeah, she just made a lot of money, and so, it's like, it's just privilege at that point.
Okay, so Righteous Resolve, privileged by Instagram model, earned it, and in the limb special way, got the job done as the pretty good favorite there. And if there's one race that I circled personally from the limbs that I thought was an eye-catching performance, I thought it was Special Way. I thought she looked pretty darn impressive there and going to be tough to knock off here. So that is definitely the top calling for me. Sorry, I should have been to Ray first, though, if Ray has any facts on this race.
So like She's a Great Lady, interestingly enough, this is not a good situation for Righteous Resolve if stats mean anything, aside from just being cute, fun little things. The first horse to ever win the Peaceful Way and the Breeders' Crown the same year didn't come until 2007 with Snow White. After that, only 2 other horses have been able to do it. Both Tactor trainees, Ariana G and Manchego. So since 2017, no one's been able to accomplish that double. Something that plays for Instagram model, interestingly enough. The Mary Annabelle Jim Doherty Memorial it is now. Let's see, 4, 8, 10 winners since 1984 that race has produced. Interestingly enough, too, other little notes, Marcus Melander will try and be the 4th trainer in the history of the race to win it in back-to-back years. He won it with Joviality last year. Only other 3 to do it were Chuck Sylvester, Per Erickson, and Jimmy Tactor numerous times. That's as much notes as I have on that one.
All right, Mike, we'll start the handicapping with you this time.
Well, last week we had the pod, and I said Special Way is going to have to prove it. Well, I feel like that she did. I mean, she looked very good there. Kicked 27-2. Really never looked a loser the entire way, and now she draws perfect. She pretty much can win off any trip. I don't really like Instagram Model much off the bench. I think Righteous Resolve's a nice horse, but she's been beating up on Ontario Sire Stakes horses, recently, and she's okay, but she's outposted, and she's going to have to go a lot faster than she's gone to win this race. So it's Special Way for me. I probably would slim Maltese down with her and lean on her quite heavily in a lot of those races, and try to spread maybe in other places, but it would be Special Way for me.
There's something with Ox Fenstead horses too. When you watch a lot of them, like particularly the ones that he can get the most speed out of, they have a way of moving their legs and really stretching themselves out. And Special Way for a 2-year-old filly was real extended in her stride in the stretch there, and had so much just inherent speed that it seems tough to really go against her. And I'm in full agreement. And she even kind of showed that in Lexington also. But at the same time, Ox Fenstead has shown up to the Breeders' Crown 43 times. He has only won 2. Both came last year. Felicity Shagwell and Eckery.
Derick, we'll go to you next for this race, and we'll throw you the question because you are a journalistic editor on this panel. So Instagram Model, we've not seen since the Reynolds, September 23rd at Tioga. Do you have any insight on how she has prepped for this race?
I mean, I read some comments from trainer Annie Stobie that basically said the horse is doing fine, trained well, it's coming into this event nicely. But I mean, that's who I like on top, and I like the horse for a couple of reasons. One, if you talk to the trainer after the Doherty, she basically said, I have 2 races circled on my calendar, the Doherty and the Breeders' Crown. These are my 2 goals. I'm going to race her really lightly between now and the Breeders' Crown. That's the race I want to win. So to me, the layoff means nothing to me, because this is a trainer who's been preparing this horse for the last 3 months to win this race. So clearly, I think the horse is going to come ready. The other reason why I like the horse is this horse has done nothing wrong. You can't convince me that on paper any of these other horses are better than her, and I'm going to get a better price on her than I am going to get on either of the other 2 heavier favorites, Righteous Resolve and Special Way. I respect both those other horses. I think that I guess you have to use them on your tickets, and I would use them on my pick 5 tickets, but I would come back with another ticket with just keying Instagram Model, because I know there's going to be a lot of value in her.
Speaking of Instagram Model, John Rallis with a good note in there here. It's worth mentioning. Scotty Z retaining that drive on Instagram Model. Nice to see Scott back in the bike, although for sure, if you ever want to join us on the broadcasting side of things, I definitely think he could have a career there. But it is very nice to see those connections, staying true to the guy who brought her along, and he is back in the bike for this Breeders' Crown final. Garnet, your thoughts on this race?
I'm on Special Way. She's my best bet of both nights after what I've seen last week. But looking for value, and if you take a quick look in the program, probably the 4th choice is going to be Walner Payton in this race. Would you guys agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Walner Payton has finished 2nd to Special Way like 1 million times already. So, for me, that might be the shot I take. But I'm going to be singling Special Way in multi-race tickets. She just looked too good last week to me, especially in the final quarter. I don't know. I'm not that afraid of Instagram Model coming. I don't like horses coming off a month break. I don't care what the trainer says. Horses stay sharpest racing. I don't care what they've been doing.
Well, all these horses have been prepping for this race. Everybody's prepping to win this race, not just her.
And also, Instagram Model had kind of like a right place, right time kind of trip, because Mambasita came from a wall of horses to finish 2nd. Had she had no traffic miring, she would have won the race.
Although she did, Instagram Model did miss 22 days between her last starts. So, I could be wrong on that, but I just think this Special Way is too sharp right now. So
I just feel like I don't know, but I just feel like I'd rather take what I think is going to be 4-1, somewhere in that range on Instagram Model, than take, let's say, 6-5 on Special Way.
You'll get big separation if she wins and everything, I think.
Yeah, no doubt.
She'll be 3rd choice in multis for sure.
Yeah, and Righteous Resolve is going to take some local money too, so she's probably going to be second choice. I don't believe she's the second best filly in this race, but so there's probably some value trying to beat her out too.
I'd personally need more than 4-1 on Instagram Model. I don't see her winning 33% of the time. The thing that caught my eye though, Barnsdale, you said that Special Way is the best bet of the whole weekend,
Correct,
including the mare trot, which we're going to get to.
Oh no.
yeah, I took her over Atlanta, Ray.
Even more than Ecurie. Robert, Righteous Resolve. We've not gotten much love here for the second choice in the morning line, the local horse. Would we get any from you?
Yeah, top pick in the Horse Players Journal. I mean,
there you go.
We're knocking her because she's an OSS horse, I guess. Okay, but I mean, she'd be 9 for 9 if she didn't get locked in a gold earlier in the season. She's done absolutely nothing wrong. We talk about time. I don't really think time matters that much. I mean, obviously it matters in winning a race, but time on paper doesn't mean anything. And we've heard that the line a million times. It only matters if you're in jail. And she's done it easy every single time she's gone out there. And I mean, she's been in 53-1 over Mohawk Park. Everyone I speak to about her, Paul McDonnell in the winner's circle after the Super Final said one of the best horses he's ever driven in his career. I don't really think she goes down in this race without a fight. Special Way is the only one that I think can beat her just because of what she's done. And last time she was breathtaking. There's no question about it. But I would not sell Righteous Resolve short and say that she's been beating up on no one all season. That's not the case. I mean,
What would Mass Hysteria be in the race? 100-1, maybe. That's who she's beaten the last 2 times.
You can only beat who they put in front of you, though, Mike. I mean, you're
but she would be 100-1.
That's 8. You're discounting a horse that's 8 for 9. That should be 9 for 9, and she also won the Peaceful Way. I mean, I think
she's good. I just don't think she's as good as some of these other ones.
Right. Only 3 horses have won the Peaceful Way.
I think we don't know how good she is yet. I think we'll
That's
find
right.
out.
We'll find out.
But I mean, but to say just a discounter though, right? And say, well, she's not in the same league of Special Way, and she's probably not as good as Instagram Model. We don't know, and I think the price will be better than what we're actually thinking because people should be flocking to Special Way off that performance last time. And I do think that Righteous Resolve's a pretty special filly. And Ray, your stats are great. I mean, at the end of the day, they're like trends in football, though, right? There's something that you can look at and say, okay, that they mean something, but they're all situational and they change year by year based on the horses that we're seeing in front of us.
Yes.
I like stats from the last 5 starts. Give me stats from the last 5 starts. To me, that's something you could sink your teeth into. Something that happened 20 years ago. I don't know what relevance it has today.
And when they both beat her, you can all say, hey, listen, I told you so. Because we're going to get to a horse later on that I know you guys are going to give me all kinds of heat over. But I'm not.
Oh, we have no idea who that might be at all.
Ray, your thoughts here?
I didn't talk yet. I thought
you gave us facts, I think, right? You just gave us facts. So
I went into some kind of poetry about Svenstedt trotters and Special Way.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so I guess you took the best way.
There's really not much else I can contribute to the thought zeitgeist of all of this. If Instagram Model, I understand Derick's camp. If Instagram Model is 7-8-1, I'd probably be thinking differently because I foresee her winning probably 14, maybe less % of the time. So I gotta get a bit of a better price out of that versus Special Way, who I think wins a decent amount of the time if you run this race over and over and over again, which is the principle of value. Beyond that, every other horse has been beaten by Special Way. So what do you do?
For the record, I just say I'm just so glad every time I throw to Robert and say any love for blah blah blah, I don't actually know what his picks are, and yet always is yes, and I get the answer. I was yes, and he starts talking. So that's fantastic. For me, I go with Special Way on top. I think she's gonna be very tough in here, albeit at a very short price. I do like Righteous Resolve second though. I think she's got a chance. Instagram Model I throw in third. That is about as formful as it gets, and actually I even threw in Warner Payton for fourth. So that is literally as formful as it gets. Out there online, JD Barnell, Special Way as well. Kevin Palazzo going all the way with Special Way. And hey, Ray, Kevin says that that is not the last time you'll have to mention Ecurie D. It is, because we'll have to talk about him repeating in the Open Trot.
I will not mention him.
Race 9, the final Friday night race of the Breeders' Crown, the 2-year-old Colt Pace. It will be. And we now have some spam comments from YouTube from adult dating sites.
That's how you know we're getting enough hits now.
All right, there we go. Right? Race 9, the 2-year-old Colt Pace for $810,000. And in here, Stockade Sealster took a defeat in that limb handle like a Porsche, got the job done. Confederate 150-2. Ray, hit us with some facts.
Things aren't looking good for Stockade Sealster either. Metro Pace, since its installation, as well as the Breeders' Couch is 1984, Arts Place was the first horse to win the Metro Pace and the Breeders' Crown the same year. It wasn't for 15 more years did another horse accomplish that. Jeremy's Jet achieved that double in 2005. And there was another 14 years until Tall Dark Stranger did it in 2019. Monty Mickey is the last horse to win the Metro Pace and the Breeders' Crown the same year. So only 4 horses have been able to accomplish that double. Of the 39 winners.
Last year?
Huh?
Yeah.
Didn't one of them do it last year?
I said Monty Mickey was the last to do it last
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, so
You're repeating the things I say. I know.
But it just happened. So it could happen
did
again.
Just happen. Yeah. But that,
Right,
I have more, okay?
Oh boy.
39 winners of this race. That's right, 39. Let's not forget about the dead heat in 2020. Of the 39 winners, only 18 received divisional honors. And then on top of all of that, interesting note for Confederate. Confederate is looking to become just the 3rd horse in the history of this event to be sired by a horse who won this event. Art Escape was the first to do it. He's sired by Arts Place. The only other horse able to do that, Tall Dark Stranger, who's sired by Bettor's Delight. Confederate, sired by Sweet Lou, who holds the stakes record in this race.
Ray, you're neglecting an obvious. This is extremely disrespectful, Ray. There's another Sweet Lou called in here.
Well, I was thinking about the elimination winner. I didn't remember there was another. Who's the other one in this race?
Ammo.
Oh, yeah, and that Ammo's got some promise, but I don't like him here.
All right. Well, Ray, I guess you know what? Your questions usually lead to a question throw back to you and just start the handicapping with you. So one last time. Stockade Sealster, does he join the list?
No, I don't think any of them joined this list. This race and these pacing colt races, more often than not, are bonkers. Like, if you take all the divisions together, it's the one you can probably point at the most and go, oh, why did that horse win? Why did that horse win? Why did that horse win? And, you know, Handle Like a Porsche won his elimination fairly handily. Dexter really wasn't asking him. Confederate has so much speed and seems like he can go from one way or the other. The pace makeup of this race, in more ways than not, from how I'm looking at it, is not understandable in ways that are chaotic. So in that respect, I'm looking at a bit of a price here. I'm kind of interested in hunting the last dollar from this spot. Of all of the horses in the eliminations, he had the most finish coming home. And on top of that, I even went back and I looked at that Metro Pace final, and I can somewhat forgive him. He got kind of jammed up and stuff around the final turn. Maybe that kind of hindered how he could get rolling and all of that. But now making his second start in about a month off that elimination, if he can have anything near that amount of speed late, I'm envisioning they're going to be going fast up front, and maybe things set up for him. And otherwise, like, you could justify taking any other shot in this race. I don't think the favorites are really worth much here.
Well, Ray, Mike, the three of us were talking when it came down to Metro Pace night on Mohawk Million night. You both told me I was crazy. I took Stockade Sealster. I got an incredible 4-1 after he was 2-5 and he elim. He lost there. He loses this limited price. Look, I don't think even Jody wanted the top. He just had no option. He had to press one after 3/8 of a mile. Look, give me my 6-1, 7-1, whatever he's going to be. If people want to bet Confederate off of that effort, bet Handle Like a Porsche, be my guest. Give me Stockade Sealster one more time this year. Derick.
I couldn't disagree with Ray more.
I think you got a time for it, Tim. You said that.
I mean, I absolutely hate hunting the last dollar. I think he's a sucker horse that, you know, comes home fast and people jump on the bandwagon, and I just don't like that horse at all. I think Confederate is far and away the best horse from what I've seen so far this year. I think that he maybe even has more in the tank than we've seen. I don't worry at all about last week. Yeah, he was all out last week, but he was all out pulling away from the other horses. You know, Timmy was trying to wake him up and say, I'll see you later with them. There were other horses in this race I like, not hunting the last dollar. Combustion raced very well last week, tried to leave, you know, a little bit and then took back and finished pretty well. I like Stockade Sealster a little bit. As we've seen, he can come back and put up a big effort in a final. I thought Ammo raced very well last week. Only 4 career starts, came first over, held his ground really well. Handle Like a Porsche was very good, though I will try to beat him on my exotics. For me, I'm Confederate, and then Combustion, Stockade Sealster underneath, maybe a little Ammo.
2 questions here, Derick. Question 1, how do you think Confederate handles a 54 half? And then question 2, how can you like Combustion's finish and not hunt in the last dollar?
Oh, because Combustion tried to leave the gate, took back, and then tried close. So there were 2 moves in that horse's effort, whereas Hunting the Last Dollar just sat there and then came home strong. Almost any horse can sit and come home strong. So that answers that question. As far as Confederate goes, Confederate won't be on the lead.
All right.
Garnet.
Yeah, I want to partially answer Ray's question too, because Combustion is my top pick. Well, Combustion's got 5 wins out of 7 and a 49-3 win the race before. When I look at Hunting the Last Dollar's card, I see a win in 155-2 as his win.
And Monticello.
Well, whatever. I mean, it's
you can go 49.
I like Combustion because of part of what Derick said. He tried to leave. He saw there was a bunch of levers. He aborted. He drove him very passively after that, sitting 9th until the 3/4. He wasn't asking him at all in the stretch, and he was passing horses. And if you look beyond that race, you can see that this horse has some talent. And I think, he's got the ability to sit a trip. I think there's going to be some action in this race. I think he has to beat Confederate from what I saw last week. I think Confederate's probably a logical favorite, but this is one of the races where I'm going to take a shot. We got 12 races here. We're not going to have horses paying between $3 and $6 in all 12 races. And, Combustion is a horse I bet last week. I have no reason to toss him off that race. I just don't think, I think he was driven to make the final, and here he is. And post 6 is about 500 billion times better than post 9 at Mohawk. So I think his chances increased dramatically just on the post position change alone.
Robert?
Well, there was 2 horses that I was ultra impressed with going in the eliminations after watching what they were doing. South the Border, that was Handled Like a Porsche, and Confederate. I'm on Confederate in here. I was very impressed still with the elimination victory. First time Lasix in that one. He was off a month. I think he's probably a better horse coming from off the pace. I don't think he's going to be on the lead in this race. And I do think he's the best, and I think he'll emerge victorious. Hunting the Last Dollar is a horse that I did like actually for a big piece of it last time. I think he's a very underrated horse, so I'm actually with Ray on that one. I was sick. I missed him in his lifetime debut because he was one of the horses that was just tearing up the track in the qualifiers at Mohawk Park. He ended up paying like 8-1 in a New York Sire Stakes race at Batavia, and since then has really done a lot of good things, throughout the season. So I think he's kind of underrated coming into this. I could see him getting a big piece of it here, but I do think it comes down to the 2 favorites in here. And this is actually the first race I'm jumping off the local horses with Stockade Sealster. I think he might be able to get a piece of it, but I think that, he might be getting a little bit tired after a fantastic season. And he raced really hard in that super final. That was like a ridiculously tough race actually to emerge as an easy winner. I think maybe the miles might be catching up with him now, and I think he's probably playing for a smaller part of it.
He's probably the key to the race, though, isn't he? I mean, isn't Stockade Sealster the key to the race? Because exactly. What is he going to do? What is Jody going to do? Because most of he's won 8 races. Nearly all of them have been won very close to the front, and now he has a better post that he had last week. He's got to go, right? He's got to go.
Yeah, he's definitely going forward off the gate.
Yeah, and you have other horses that want to do that also in here. I mean, they're not going to let him get away with much of anything. The horse that I like is Handled Like a Porsche in the sense that, I think he's very aptly named because I think that he's tactical. I think that that Dexter can do whatever he wants with him. If he senses that it's slow up front, then he can go early. If he needs to sit and let it all shake out and then make his move where he needs to, I think that he will. He was I thought one of the most impressive horses last weekend. He raced really well and just did it, as he pleased. And I even said after that thing, is very good. And I think that with that tactability, with the way that this race could turn chaotic, especially depending on what Stockade Sealster does, I like him. I like Ammo too. I thought Ammo raced pretty well last time. I mean, he was sitting third and it looked like he was sitting on go the entire time. He finally had to pull him around the final turn, and he was, he came up, to Confederate in the race, and then he couldn't catch him. I mean, he was going a little too. He was coming home 26-3, so he could get a better setup here. He's going to be a price. I think you have to use him in multi. So I think, yes, the 3's a nice horse, but I'm going to lean heavy on the 2-9 there.
All right, so Mark will take a daily double start in race 9-3 with 3-6. He's all in on Confederate. JD also all in on Confederate. And JD lets us know it is 10-3. Tampa Bay over Baltimore at the half, so my dear Ravens are losing. JD, we don't want any more football updates unless my Ravens are doing it better in the second half. Alrighty, Friday night evening is done. We took 45 minutes there, so gentlemen, time to pick it up here in the second half of our card. Let's move on to Saturday racing. We'll discuss 10 races here. We'll discuss 2 pick 5 sequences, both $100,000 guaranteed pools. We'll give out tickets, races 1 through 5, races 6 through 10, races 1 through 5. Let's start with that pick 5. Race 1 is non-winners 7,800 event. We'll give out our numbers for this race, this quick overnight event, as we're giving out information on the sequence after race 5. And hey, by the way, Don Tiger checks in, giving us a great job, guys. We look forward to seeing Charlie May in the Potomac Pace 2 weeks from today on Thursday, November the 10th. We moved to race 2 here first, the open mare trot. The key storyline here, Atlanta, still without a crown. She searches for the first crown as she is in the home stretch of her retirement tour. Derick, does she get the crown?
No.
Are you going to make Ray Cotolo happy with your answer? Who does get it?
She can't win because Bella Bellini's in the race, of course. I mean, listen, the bottom line is I love Atlanta. She's a great horse. And, you know, I don't think the post does her any favors here. I think Bella Bellini's proven on a bigger track that, you know, she steps up. 1, she steps up when the money's on the line. We've discussed this in the past. And 2, the bigger track is definitely going to move her up. I think she's far and away the horse to beat. And I would accept anything of, I would say 6 to 5, 7 to 5 or higher. I would take Bella Bellini.
I was gonna say I saw that 2 to 1 morning line. I was drooling. I don't think we're gonna get. Bella Bellini has to be the favorite here, right? Even though she has the 2 losses, she has to be the favorite.
I think she might even be odds on. I mean, I think, you know, I can't go against Bella Bellini. The post, you know, this is such a better post, a better race scenario for her than what she's had in her last few. And I think she's just the best in here. I would, I guess, sentimentally love to see Atlanta get the crown or even win Dove's Cry. You know, both of them. It's a race that they've never been able to get the job done in, but I don't think they beat Bella Bellini. I think she's one of the horses on the card that just goes out there and wins, and probably does so convincingly.
Garnet?
Disagree totally. I don't mind the post for Atlanta and win Dove's Cry at all. I think they start out 1-2 here, and I think they finish 1-2. I think Bella Bellini is going to go first up. It's not her ideal rate, her ideal trip. I mean, she was first up in the steal, sure, but they went 53 and 3 to the half. They were stopped. They were dead. Most of the races she won off trips. She's obviously she's a very good horse, but I think the trip's against her in this race, and I'm going to try and beat her right out of the exactor.
Mike?
Well, I sort of agree with Garnet, but I like When Doves Cry because she's going to be the best price of the 3, and she probably has just as much of a chance to win as the other 2, depending on the trip. And she's beaten these horses, you know, time and time again. She's made $2 million. She's going to get a trip, and you know, you get value. So there you have it.
All right, Ray, shock us with your answer here. What horse or horses are you using in the pick 5 in this race?
Bella Bellini can do whatever the hell she wants. She can leave the gate. She could sit off the gate. She has the capability to trip in whatever way she needs to, whether it be sit close and make her move at the top of the stretch or find someone to suck along behind second over. It doesn't matter.
She's only won one of her last 5 races. And you're going to take 4 to 5, 3 to 5?
No, it's not me taking. It's that no one else can win. I have seen Bella Bellini race time and time again on tracks like this. I've heard the BS answer of she's never won at Mohawk, as if there's something in the air that these horses breathe that makes them go lose time. It's not. It's all that's malarkey. I know I'm the stats guy and I'm giving these cute little stats, but I feel the same way Rob does about them. A lot of times they mean nothing. On a big track, she's always been the horse to beat. Dexter can push her off the wings from post 9. She could sure as hell leave from post 5. It's over. Like, there's no one else that can win this race.
Kevin Plaucha says no way she can go against Bella Bellini either. I will single her too, but, you know, sentimentally, I'll be rooting for Atlanta to get her first crown. So, you know what? If Ray Cotolo can do it to my horse's selections, I'll do it to Ray's horse. Ray, you know what's going to happen?
She's not going to break.
First turn, Bella Bellini's breaking.
She's not going to break.
Ray's
No.
$50 win bet.
She's not going to break. You don't have that magic that I do.
Race 3, open mare pace. Mike and Ray called me crazy for using so much more last week, and she tried to get there.
She wasn't getting by.
Did you do it this week, Ray?
What? She wasn't getting by. Why are you acting like she was going to win the race?
She needs so much more. She needs so much more.
Thank you, Derick.
Ray, who do you like in this race then?
I'm not as passionate about Test of Faith as I am about Bella Bellini, but the sentiment is the same. None of these mares compare class-wise to Test of Faith. And the only way that she can lose is if they all collect together in the driver's room and they say, hey, Dave Miller, you stay out of this. We're all talking here. And they go, okay, we got to lock her in and make sure she never gets out. And then you'll see Dave in the race trying to like ram his way out of whatever hole he's locked into. And she'd probably still win. I can't imagine Grace Hill can do the same thing she did in the Breeders' Crown elimination. You saw how she floundered in the Milton trying to get through anything. And I don't care the Test of Faith as the pylon boast. She's just better than all of them.
Test of Faith is a single for me as well. Derick?
Agree. I agree. I think Test of Faith is much the best. I think the only horse that could beat her is Michaela.
Robert?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Test of Faith, much the best. Michaela was very impressive last time. So much more. I'd love to see her get a big piece of it. I mean, again, a horse that certainly deserves a spot like this. But Dave Miller just flicked his wrist last time, and it looked like in a race where everyone said, "Oh, this is the time. It's happening," and Dave Miller's wrist just ended that for everybody. It was just one tap, and she would have won by as much as she wanted, really, if Dave asked her to.
Garnet?
I'm pretty much on the same line as these guys, but I'm going to use Michaela a bit. I think she's really sharp. Her race on September 10th in the Milton elimination was really good, where she almost beat Test of Faith in 48.2 mile. And last week, once again, I'm going to go back to my common theme. She was passively driven, saving something for this week. So, my pick fives would probably be 80% Test of Faith and a little bit of Michaela just in case.
Mike?
A little bit of a price for me. And speaking of passive drivers, when's the last time you saw Brian Sears on the front? And he was on the front last week with Racine Bell, and that horse needed that race. That horse has proven that she can beat the top one. She's an outside post. You're going to get 25, 30 to 1 on this horse. There's no secret what she's going to do. I don't think the front was necessarily the place to be last time. She needed the race. She could end up in the pocket if Test of Faith moves early. I feel like she gets a big piece of the ticket. I want to use her somewhere. Can she win it? Maybe not. But I do think that she is worth using in a price. And then Michaela's obvious. But what sort of trip do you get? She hasn't been going early. She's been sitting early. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see what she does, because that's going to change the race.
I will take Test of Faith as well. Let's see. JD will also take Test of Faith. Kevin will also take Test of Faith. So I guess we all are here.
Lots of bright people. They know it's useless. It's futile to try and beat her.
Well, at least Kevin knows that we got to root for the field over Bella Bellini so we can use it against Ray. So that's probably a pretty good idea. All righty. Well, we move along. Race 4, 3-year-old filly trot. And, I guess it's another Ray Cotolo special. Ray, to tell us your selection here.
I was talking to my dad about this, actually. I was talking to my dad about this because Mike mentioned the patient driver. I was trying to remember my preamble, because I write everything like a thesis.
You talk everything like a thesis, too.
I'm sorry, Barnsdale. This is my floor. I respect what you have to say, but I'm trying to get this thought out. Anyone could have driven Joviality the way that she had to come from off the speed last time. There are people who say that Brian Sears is so patient. Oh, look at him. I don't think he wanted to be that far back. That was out of necessity from that post, how everyone else was leaving, and the horse bailed him out because she has that talent. This time around, when the money's on the line from this post, she's probably going to be a bit more aggressive, I think. I think we're going to see a drive that's similar to the Hambo to put her towards the front and have everyone else say, look, if you're really better than me, you got to be better than me. And Jiggy Jog is honestly the main threat to that, because Fashion Schooner also most likely is going to go. So if anything, it just seems like the ball is in Joviality's court here, because that elimination showed that she is not taking a step back. She is as good as she's always been.
Kevin is spot on. I'm almost out of alcohol in this drink, so when that happens, Ray's just muted the rest of the night. Derick?
Why is everyone drunk?
I do agree that Joviality will be more forwardly placed in this spot. I think that I like her position here because I think she's going to leave the gate. I think the 6 Fashion Schooner will definitely leave the gate. I think she's going to be in good position to win. We've seen how well she tracks horses and passes them late. I respect Jiggy Jog. I respect Fashion Schooner. And if you told me Joviality was 6-5 and Fashion Schooner was 6-1, as they are on the morning line, I would bet Fashion Schooner over Joviality.
You might get 6-1.
Yeah.
You might get that.
I would take my chances with that because I thought Fashion Schooner was just a little short last time. Timmy said she was really, really, really hot, and that she had too much energy because she hadn't raced. And maybe she comes out. I'm sure trainer Jim Campbell will have a slightly different horse out on the track this week. And all that being said, I'm going to have some Woodbine on my ticket. I really feel like she's been racing a little bit better lately. And granted, she didn't, she had one of those ground saving trips where she closed ground, which, you can't put too much weight on. But I know that a good horse is in there somewhere. And it seems like she's past her breaking issues. So I'm going to use her on my tickets and see what happens.
There's two lines of thinking in the world of YouTube comments. Ray uses a lot of words to say nothing, and Ray is an international treasure. Which side are you on? Robert, what side are you on in this race? Can we take a guess?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can all guess. You'll all be right. And look, I think that you can put stock into that race, and I'm the first one usually to steer clear of, loaded with trot or loaded with pace, no room, whatever. Listen, a lot of those horses end up being sucker plays. We know that. But the thing about Woodbine is she's already proven that she can go with these horses. Yes, she hasn't, won on the grand stage, I guess you could say, because it was only elimination for the Hamiltonian Oaks. But I thought that she looked incredible last time. And not a popular opinion, I think that if she does get a clear path much sooner, she maybe wins that race. I mean, Joviality, tough to beat, no question about it. Woodbine is going to be all kinds of value. We talk about patient steers. Well, Bob McClure last time just wanted, I think, to protect her, make sure that she stayed, on the trot. She had been off for, a significant amount of time. And this time it's going to be all systems go. And I don't know what the trip's going to be for her, but if she's in striking range, I think, you're going to see her be a blur in the stretch like she was in the Oaks elimination. And we've seen so many times this year. She loves it at Mohawk Park. The addition of the trotting hobbles, obviously, they don't really help the goddess of speed from a speed perspective, but it certainly has helped her mind her manners. And I am definitely going to be all in on Woodbine. I'm not going to single her in the multi-legs because there is some risk there, and I'm going very thin everywhere else. But I think she's definitely worth the win ticket, and she's my choice on top. I'm not going to go against her now. This is the biggest stage. I think that she's been sitting on this all year, and now it's going to be her coming out party. And now you guys can trash me for saying that.
I'll say I agree with Rob. If Woodbine gets the double deceiver seas parting trip, which I don't know how you predict that.
I don't know how that happens, but
I don't know either. But
yeah.
If it does and she gets it, I could see it. The other thing I have to say is words not understood or perceived as nothing.
You know what? I'm going to call this Stock 8 Sealster's older sister race. Fashion Schooner losing the limit 1-5 in the Breeders in the Hambo Oaks, and all of a sudden I realized post 10 in the final. We let her go off at 6-1, 3-1 last week in the limit. What's the price going to be this week? Give me Fashion Schooner again, Garnet.
How can she be Stock 8 Sealster's sister?
It's a figure of
wagering
speech.
sister, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
In wagering terms.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
2-year-old Colt Pacer to 3-year-old Filly Trotter.
The interesting dynamic in this race is that Fashion Schooner has a clear lead at the 3/4 in all of her last 6 starts, and probably a bunch before that. But none of those 6 starts were against Joviality, so you got to try and figure out how this race is going to go. That being said, I think this race is going to. I'm going to predict right now that this is going to be one of the most exciting races of the 2 nights, and it's going to come down to Jiggy Jog S and Joviality noses apart at the wire. I was equally impressed with both last week. I think they're head and shoulders above any horse in this race, including all the ones you guys mentioned. I don't think there's any value in it, particularly in betting it, but I think for watching it, it's going to be tremendous.
Mike.
Okay, so a couple of points. One, when you talk about Woodbine, it said, like Robert said, that she's, proven that she can go with these. Well, she hasn't proven she can go with the top 2 quite yet, because they were facing the boys whenever, she was trying to beat the girls. And I just feel like that those 2 were frying bigger fish all year. And they've proven now that as soon as they've come back to the fillies, that they're just head and shoulders above the rest of them. So it's very difficult, even with bad trips and different things, that they're still in front at the wire. And like Garnet said, there's no value in the race. That where there would be value is you kind of have to pick one, right? You have to decide, okay, I'm going to take Jiggy Jog and I'm going to lean on that one, and I'm going to create value that way by other people doubling, tripling their tickets. That's how I would go. And I would go with Jiggy Jog because I think that right now that she's the one that's winning. She wins at Lexington in that Kentucky Futurity, on the front end. And Dexter said how big a mile she went in that race. Then last week, I mean, she won for fun, kicked 26-2. She's another horse that can do whatever he wants. He's the best driver as far as I'm concerned. He has to beat Joviality, but I think he will. So I'm going to lean on her.
JD will go with Joviality in this race to win divisional honors over fast schooner Jiggy Jog, and Warwick Xenia, JD says, if she does well, may overtake a Derick Castle for the O'Brien Awards, which I guess I forget. I always talk about Dan Patchworth, but the O'Brien Awards, of course, Canada's version, so we got all sorts of awards to decide on here at the year end, but we will turn our attention to race 5. That's the last leg of that early pick 5, and we'll pause to give out some early pick 5 tickets, but this is the 3-year-old filly Pace coming up, and this was one of 4 divisions that went straight to the final, so we did not get a chance to see a limbs last week for this group of pacers, and at least based on the line, appears to be a pretty open race. Nikki Hill is going to take favoritism for post 10 on the morning line, then Treacherous Dragon, Prohibition Legal, a couple of them taking money there. Max Contract came through with a big couple wins this summer at the Meadowlands, so a lot of different directions to possibly go here. Mike, which one will you go?
I think this is a price race. I like the one. I like Queen of Success. I mean, she won a couple races at Lexington. She kicked 26-1 in that last race on October 9th, against Nikki Hill. And we all know how good Nikki Hill was. Now Nikki Hill's buried in the 10 hole here. So, and there's no value on that one. I think there is some value here on this horse. Is going to be ignored. I think that one's definitely worth a use, given the fact that she's improving and she likes the big track. She's capable of big kicks. I think she's definitely used. And then the 9 Silver Label, who's a horse that's raced extremely well at this racetrack. If you look, this horse has dominated. Now, here's a horse I like that was actually in Ontario Sire Stakes races, because those were really good horses. Those are the Prohibition Legals. They've been going back and forth all year. Both those horses are very good. And I really liked how she finished that super final. She's 8-1 morning line. I think she can only go up from that post. I would spread in this race. I think that it's tougher than, when you see Sea Silks 10-1 in the morning line, that it's a tough race. So I would spread here in the pick 5, but I do like the 1 and the 9.
Well, Ray's reactions, I guess, indicates Queen of Success.
Mike is so spot on. Mike is one of our top pupils from the Ray Cotolo Handicapping Academy.
Yeah.
I know his degree is hanging prominently on the wall. And Mike watched the same race I did in that Glenn Garnsey, who was the only other one coming on Nikki Hill, but Queen of Success bursting between horses, gaining all sorts of ground with whatever room she got late. This is a typical Andy McCarthy sits off the speed and launches type of race, because Nikki Hill, I feel like, has to go. From that spot, she's either going to go to try and get some kind of spot. Maybe they try and keep her out, or then she has to press forward and be part of the pace. Everything plays to her disadvantage and also plays into everything to set this race up to be real chaotic. Although maybe Dexter throws in the real monkey wrench and just decides to go to last, which I don't see happening, but that would confuse everyone.
I feel like Derek's about to say I strongly disagree with Ray again.
No, actually, Queen of Success is my top pick in here, and
Is she gonna be a price?
Everyone's looking at the last race. I looked back when she was 6th, starting from post 8. She wanted to leave the gate, and McCarthy looked around, and everyone else was leaving the gate too. So he had no choice but to take back. Was last over. The flow was awful. She still closed very well in the stretch with 26 and change. I mean, I think her form is somewhat hidden, and she's a much better horse than she appears. Maybe off her last 2 starts, in my opinion. I don't think 15-1 morning line. It's not going to happen. She's not going to be 15-1. I mean, she just isn't, because if 3 of us out of the 6 are looking at her as a possible play, it's clear that if you look at her past performance lines, she's a pretty decent horse. But I like a lot of long shot. I'm not a Nikki Hill. I really like Nikki Hill, the horse. Nikki Hill was great in Lexington, but this isn't Lexington. That track plays a lot differently. The surface is a lot different. I want to see this horse come out on a different track and race well. She didn't qualify great. It was okay. Post 10 isn't ideal. So I'm going to go long shot. Sweet Kiss is another one. Was really good. Won the Adiovola, won the Lynch. Looked like a really good horse. Then missed some time, came back. Didn't do much in that first start back, but what'd you expect? She went 50-1. She could certainly improve in her second start. Another 15-1 morning line. Boudoir Hanover has been as solid as they come. I'm not a huge fan, but certainly a horse that you use there. 10-1 morning line. I'm going to be on all the the longer shots on the board here. Max Contract too is a horse I would use on my ticket.
Interesting note I just realized in that Bluegrass race, 2 starts back for Queen of Success. I don't know if the chart's right, but if it is, her final 3 quarters were 19-4. I just did the math.
27, 53, 19. No, I got 20-2.
No, because the final 3 quarters of the leaders 121. She gained about it would be 120 because she gained about 5 lengths, not 6.
I'm using DRF Harness Eye Pass Performances. Little plug in there, DRF Harness Eye Pass Performances. And we actually have the fractional times for each horse for each quarter. So you could just add them up.
There you go.
Right there in front of you.
Garnet.
But still fast. 20 and change.
Garnet, do we get 4 votes for Queen of Success?
No, and also the Ravens just tied it up. This is going to be one of my biggest bets of probably my biggest bet of both nights. I'm going to go all in on Max Contract. I think she's got a big shot in here, and I'll tell you why. Those 2 races in Kentucky, she's under the gun from the rail, right? She's got to go. She ends up behind Nikki Hill in both those starts, one following, one going first up. Nikki Hill's controlling the race. Much different race here. It's going to be a much different race. I think Max Contract races better in the flow off a helmet. I think from the 7 hole, she's going to float out 5th, 6th, 7th, get in the flow, and come and get them at about 8 or 9-1. And I'm going to be a happy man and buying rounds.
I like Max Contract as well. I'll also use Prohibition Legal. Those are the 2 for me in the pick 5. JD is going with Max Contract as well. Ray has his hand raised. What now?
Oh, because I just realized if all of us hate Nikki Hill, is she even a favorite?
Robert, for Nikki Hill.
I have her on top. I mean,
there we go.
Journal, she's on top. I mean, I didn't really know what to do with the race overall, so I probably shouldn't have because I thought it is a difficult spot from post 10. And yeah, this race kind of in my head spin a little bit. I agree with a lot of everyone saying. I guess Queen of Success is the wise guy horse, right? I mean, everyone's seeing that she's one that's got. I'm going to add her to my pick 5 ticket now. You guys have convinced me on that. But yeah, like Sea Silk, I think is maybe some value in here as well. I agree that Silver Label has been very impressive. I mean, she's progressed so well in her 3-year-old campaign. Obviously, the post she's out there with Nikki Hill, but I do think that she's got a chance in here. And Max Contract's another one that I was using, so I'm gonna go 5 deep now in the pick 5. But I do have Nikki Hill on top.
All righty. Well, let's next turn our attention to that early pick 5 sequence. Races 1 through 5, $100,000 guaranteed pool. Mike, we'll start with you. Give us a ticket.
That first race, I'll use the inside 3. The 1 Stonebridge Rex. This horse gets a drop. 2 Quan Blue Chip, who I always have liked and is racing extremely well. And then the 3 Take a Gamble, 15-1 morning line. You get Yannick. Will be the 5 and 8 in race number 2. 1, 3, 9, race number 3. I'll key Jiggy Jog in the 4th, and then spread in the last one, 7, 9, 10. It's $14.40 for 20 cents, 72 for $1.
Garnet.
Also 1440, 1-2 with 7-8, with 1-3, with 2-4, with 6-7-10, and then maybe a few extra ones with Max Contract singles.
No singles for Garnet there. 1440 as well. Derick.
I was just thinking Garnet and I both cannot hit. I'm 1-2-8 with singling Bella Bellini, with singling Test of Faith, with 2-4-6-7, with 1-2-3-7, and it's $9.60.
Ray.
All right, here's the winning one, and for $2, it'll only cost you 16. 1-3-7-8. I agree with Mike on Stonebridge Rex, but also Take a Gamble. I think it's going to get a more aggressive drive, flying even better. Could not get into the race from the pylons last time, and Capitano Italiano should be okay too from that spot. Singling Bella Bellini, singling Test of Faith, singling Joviality, and then I'm 1-6 in the 3-year-old filly pace, taking Treacherous Dragon, who beat Nikki Hill in that qualifier and raced well in the Jugette. So maybe she's gonna be coming from off speed no matter what. That's $16 for $2.
$1.60. Thrilling ticket from Ray Cotolo for 20 cents. Robert.
I like Race Ticket actually, but I think he needs to add a horse in the first leg. $8 for me. 1, 3, 9, 10 in the first race. The 10 Hill Christian, reunited with Todd McCarthy, has all kinds of success with this horse in the past. I think Hill Christian is actually the horse you want to be on in the opener, but post 10. And then single. Same singles too as Ray, the 5 Bello Bellini, Test of Faith, of course. And then I'm going to go 2 deep. It's not going to be the 2 most people using the Jiggy Jog and Joviality. It's going to be Joviality and Warwi Xenia. And then finish it off with 5 horses: Queen of Success, Sea Silk, Max Contract, Silver Label, and Nikki Hill. So that is $8. 1, 4, 7, 9, 10 to finish it off. $8 for 20 cents.
All right, I scribbled so many different numbers here, so make sure I get this correct. It's $3.60. I know that. It's a 179 to open it. It is Bella Bellini singled. It is Test of Faith singled. Then give me Joviality and Fashion Schooner 4-6, and in the last leg, give me 5-6-7. That is a $3.60 investment. So there's some ideas for you on that early pick 5. Again, it gets started right away, 7 p.m. Race number 1 kicks off $100,000 guaranteed early pick 5. But hey, if you get knocked down that one, or even if you hit and are looking to win even more, how about the middle pick 5? It starts in race number 6 with another $100,000 guaranteed pool. So let's discuss those Breeders' Crown races. Let's start with that 6th race, and that will be the 3-year-old Colt Trot Final, going for $810,000. And at least for me, this is one I used quite a few. I considered quite a few. One of my leave off, though, was in a limb winner last week, and that is King of the North, a horse I feel like I've been chasing forever. He finally wins at 28-1. Derick, who do you like here?
I think a number of horses have a shot in here. Probably 5, 6. I'd say 6 or 7 horses in this race have a chance to win, in my opinion. My top pick, I went to Cool Papa Bell. I think this is another horse that, missed a little bit of time. Really wasn't given the proper effort, let's say, to win last week. Kind of just took back and closed for what he could get. And I think this week you're going to see him more forwardly placed. I like Slay in this spot also. He didn't fire off the good trip last time. At least he didn't fire. He lost by a head, but he didn't fire as well as I thought he would off the trip last time. I would expect he'll be a little sharper. Branded by Lindy, another one is going to be on my ticket. Just kind of shows up every single week. But I wouldn't blame anyone for using King of the North, Double Deceiver. You know what? I thought Golden Wall Oz was really good last week. It really impressed me. I know he's going to the front here. I'm going to use him in my trifecta and superfecta tickets.
I know someone who loved Slay, but does not like Slay here at all. He's shaking his hand. He's shaking his head.
You think Golden Wall Oz can make the front from the 10 hole in this race?
Have you seen Tony? He's not. He'll do it.
He's not. I'll bet you a beer he's never going to see the front for even one step.
Well, I know he's going to leave. How about that?
He's going to leave. He's going to be in the parking lot on the first turn.
Derick doesn't want to wager the $4 it would take to get a Stella.
How much does it cost for a beer in Canada?
Actually, they're too expensive. We better bet a free coffee or something.
Well, think about it. Wait. I'm coming with American money, so it costs me less.
That's true. You get like 40. You'll get like 35% probably.
Yeah, you could buy 35% more beer.
There you go. Less filling.
Anyway, Mike, how could you hate Slay in this spot?
Well, because he lost off a perfect trip, but I can't stand horses that lose off perfect trips. I don't.
But
he lost off a
Why does last week mean so much all the time? It's not all about last week. Last week's important, but last week's not the only thing that matters. It's not the
only thing that matters. I do like the horse. I like the horse, but he got a perfect trip and he lost. And I like, other horse. I like Cool Papa Bell in the race. I feel like that. Look at the horses that aren't in this race. Rebuff, Tempura Hanover, horses that have been dominating the ranks all year. The top ones, none of them are here. The only ones left is him, and he won the Hambo. He's been dancing all the dances since then and racing extremely well. I think he's not going to be 3-1. I think he could go up from that. He's not going to be some massive favorite in this race. There's going to be a ton of horses that take money. I feel like that Cool Papa Bell's the one to bet in the race, and then Branded by Lindy's the other one. He took a little while to get going last time and probably should have won, just missed and was getting to the winner there in that race. I think it's those two. I don't want Slay. I feel like that he should have won last time. He didn't, and I don't see how he's going to get any better trip than he got last time in this race. So and there's no value. I mean, he's probably going to be less than 5-1 again. I just don't want him.
I have to explain it. Hi, Ray Cotolo, physics expert. I need to explain this for Mike. So,
Okay.
that elimination that Slay was in. This is they come around the final turn. Here's the stretch. Can you kind of see what I'm drawing here? You can't. Well, okay, I'll make it real.
Hey, Garnet, where's that alarm clock you had?
They're coming around the turn here. Slay, all right. Slay is second over and has to come out about midway through the stretch. Double Deceiver's riding the pylons the entire way. You know when he can start building his momentum? Right here at the top of the stretch. He's able to get rolling before Slay, and so you expect Slay to beat a horse who's already hit his best stride when he's not.
Right.
Momentum is important here.
If you were going to bet your $2 that you usually bet at that point in the race, who were you going to bet?
I didn't even see I thought Double Deceiver wasn't in the race anymore. He was buried
Exactly.
by everyone. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter in the case of physics.
Matters to me.
Double Deceiver won by a nose. By a nose. If he doesn't get started an inch later, Slay wins that race.
All right, Robert Garnet, share your thoughts, and I do need the second alcohol.
God forgive me. I agree with Ray here. Double Deceiver. If Slay had a perfect trip, Double Deceiver had a more perfect trip because he had a clear run up the pylons.
Well, I don't know if I'd call it a perfect trip. I mean, I think he got lucky.
Any part of the stretch. How often do you see a horse get a clear run up the pylons for that long of a stretch drive? Usually there's some kind of traffic or you got to take up a little bit. I don't hold it against him that he got beat there. And I bet him and I thought he was home. But
both statements can be true though, right? Like Double Deceiver to me is a toss because you'll never get a trip like that again. I still think Slay was not that good. I don't, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I thought that, a horse should never lose off that trip. And I know the horse that beat him, everything had to happen for him to get there, but Slay still should have won.
Horses lose off those trips every night at Mohawk when we're watching, when guys.
And I don't bet them back.
Right, and horses come up the inside. Coming up the inside is the more perfect trip now, guys.
Maybe he had a cold that day. Maybe his foot was bothering him a little that day. There's so many reasons why he maybe didn't get up by a head. He was by head. We're not saying that he had a perfect covered trip and he was by 3 lengths. He was by a head.
Okay.
But he had to run 10 steps. You know what I mean? That's the thing that a horse, when you get a trip like that, I haven't picked fourth. So it's not like I hate him. I'm just saying, to me, that elimination as a whole is one I can just move on from, and say, you know what, I don't really need any of these horses because I thought Slay should have won. And Double Deceiver, again, you'll never see a trip like that again, right? So for me,
Double Deceiver's a really good horse, though. I just want to point out, Double Deceiver's a really good horse.
Yeah,
he might have gotten lucky last time.
I cashed on him last time.
Some of his lines. He's a good horse,
Right, but again, I'm just saying you can't replicate that. You know what I mean? And again, he needed every inch of that to beat Slay, who I didn't think raced that good. So for me, it's Cool Papa Bell on top. I thought the horse absolutely no chance last time, and we're not going to see. I think that happen again. He, a little bit of time between starts there too, but I just think he's the horse you want to land on here. That King of the North, he crushed me last week, by the way. I was alive so big in that pick 5, and I did not see that coming. That was like absolutely devastating. Maybe I should have with the, back on Lasix and a horse that's kind of was rounding, back into form. So I have him getting a big piece of it and branded by Lindy. Those are the 3 that I like the most. And I might throw Slay on the ticket now, but again, I thought he raced pretty poor, all things considered.
It's not about what he has in the tank. Horses build their speed. That's an important thing to understand there. Double Deceiver built his speed before Slay. It's as simple as that.
Alrighty, well, Ravens driving. That's always good news there. Kevin, Ray, very much enjoyed your cream of the creme harness racing discussion. And you know what? If Garnet is allowed to have a best bet on these 2 nights, this is my worst bet of the 2 nights. I will use 4 of them in the pick 5, and this is just a numerical order. I have no particular preference. As fast as the win, the 2, the 4 Double Deceiver, the 5 branded by Lindy, and the 9 Cool Papa Bell. I'm hoping one of those 4 win. Honestly, I have very, very little opinion in this race. So let's move on to race 7. Race 7, 3-year-old Colt Pace, and we have here By the Missile, Pebble Beach. They are ready to square off. By the Missile, of course, has taken this division by storm lately. Maybe question of the class, maybe a little bit here, though. Pebble Beach coming on late 6 years and racing very well last time out, trying to improve here in the final. Those two appear to be the two to knock off here. Mike, which side do you side on, or somewhere else?
I side Pebble Beach. I think that he moves up over this racetrack significantly. The getting LASIK certainly didn't hurt him whatsoever. He looked better than he did in the North America Cup, and he crushed that race. By the Missile's tough. He's very good, and it's those two. The rest of them just aren't nearly as fast, aren't nearly as good, and I really think are going to be very much up against it. And here's another case. You have to decide. Which one do you like? I like Pebble Beach.
All right, a vote for Pebble Beach. Garnet.
I'm the opposite. I like By the Missile. I like what I saw last week. He was Chris Page was clearly saving something at the wire, facing a 26-1 kicker. But I mean, I think it's another race where I think these two are going to be separated from the field in the stretch. I think there's going to be a lot of chatter about Jay Hostetler's colt, Ponda Warrior, and he was really good last week. But I think he's a horse that's probably going to be closing again for a piece of it, not necessarily winning the race. I got him for third. I don't see a lot of value in this race. I think By the Missile and Pebble Beach stand out, in my opinion.
Okay, one vote for each. Derick, break the tie.
I think it's splitting hairs between the two. If I had to pick one, I'd pick By the Missile, just because I feel like there's still more there that we haven't seen yet. I think there's more to come. I'm wondering, assuming that people get onto the Ponda Warrior bandwagon a little bit, if we played a 256, 526 trifecta, what does that pay? Does that pay $10? Like if it's paying $10 for a deuce, I could play 2-5 with 6 and be very happy with that. I
think I would pay $10 for $1.
Okay, so if we can get a $20 try out of that 256, 526, I would just pay a $10 or a $20 trifecta like that with the 6/3.
So that is 2 votes for By the Missile. JD in Facebook comment land will make it 3 votes for By the Missile. I'll go on to make it 4 votes for By the Missile. 1 vote for Pebble Beach. Ray?
Pebble Beach on LASIK is a different Pebble Beach. And on top of that, you're not going to see him get a trip like he did in the elimination. They're all on the record saying they want this horse on a helmet. More likely than not, you're going to see Pebble Beach, if anything, try and go to the front, hope someone circles him to take the lead, or he's coming from second over, and he is more vicious in that scenario than he was on the lead. I don't buy the Missile is good. I know he won the Adios, but the Adios was, 3 months ago at this point? Pebble Beach has improved since then.
He won the jug, too.
There's a different rate. Well, the jug's a different story, though. Some of those horses, he's supposed to win that race. But Pebble Beach, though, he's just better now.
All right, 4 votes to 2. Still By the Missile in front. Robert, finish us out.
By the Missile. Yeah, last week, I mean, you never seen a horse like he's holding on by 3/4 of a length, but he was flat in the bike. I mean, there's tons left there. Love the way this horse has progressed, and I'm a big Pebble Beach fan. I mean, he's now, the back on LASIK thing was obviously huge for him. He couldn't have looked any better in his limb. I just give the edge the other direction, and I agree. Those two are going to have major separation from the rest of the field, and it should run out pretty chalky. I did it my way, and Ponda Warrior are the ones I have him behind. So I think this race runs out formful, and By the Missile gets the job done.
All I'm saying is you go against Pebble Beach, you're playing with fire.
All right, well, I've been saving the trivia facts in the interest of time, but this one we gotta throw in there. We're using last year's Breeders' Crown Media.
Oh, you don't have this year's media
So that
guide?
means it's the
Right here?
2020 Breeders' Crown, the most recent race edition here of this 3-year-old Colton Gelding Pace. And
I don't have a book.
2 favorites there. Called Dark Stranger at 1-2, Catawash at 3-1. So 2 horses taking a lot of money. Who won that race in 2020? What was his price?
Oh, wait. Who
It
won
was,
last year's Joker?
what was it, like sand between the toes or something? It was like
that
100.
was 2 years ago. Yeah,
that's what I said.
He
It's the
said-
2020 edition. We're
Yeah.
using last
I
year's
wasn't
media
paying.
guide.
I was
He
too
paid
busy
$420 or something.
$409.80. Sand between my toes, the biggest price winner in Breeders' Crown history. So that should be our little
Sand
reminder
between
here.
your toes, not mine.
No,
He
yeah.
won the race
Right.
for a reason. And
Well,
team
yeah.
Sand Between My Toes was for sale in Harrisburg last year. Ray and I were going to split 50-50 to buy him, right?
Isn't that
Yeah.
the
We definitely were gonna
And we
do
thought that
that.
he was gelded. Like, that's no good.
Although you think you could outbid Todd Luther on a horse?
No, Ray,
No.
I tried to outbid Lucas Wallen last year and it didn't work well.
Lucas has some deep pockets. You have not seen the Luther pockets. You are not getting that horse.
It's okay. I got my eye on D1 at Harrisburg this year, Ray. You know which one it is. That's D1.
Right. If you want, there's no one better at going bankrupt in a second than Ed Hatter. I love it.
Race 8, the open trot. We finished with the open trot, the open pace, the open trot. Last year's champion, Ecury D, is back to defend his crown. Ray, does he do it?
Did you watch him at the International? No.
Morning line favorite, Ecury D, is back to defend his crown.
No, he doesn't. No, I don't want anything to do with him. This horse, the only thing I will say, calling back to last year's Breeders' Crown show, is I said Ecury D will be a horse. He is a horse. He's not. He's not done anything that everyone was imagining he was going to. Granted, I know he had a carefully mapped campaign for big race, big race, big race, big race. They had certain trophies they wanted to get, but even then, he couldn't win the Maple Leaf Trot. He couldn't win the Cashman. Granted, his stablemate Al Raja, who is a better horse, injured out this year. He would have been the story in this race had he stayed in the division. I want nothing to do with Ecury off that International Trot. And I'm also mad that I passed on Cockstyle, or whatever that horse's name is. Paid like 50, 80
You should
bucks,
always do that.
$80 in that International Trot against Back of the Neck. This is Jujubee's race to me. Ever since he came back from that open, I've just seen him get better, get better, get better, get better. He has been on a progression into this race that I find can make him win. Because especially off that race in Lexington, where he came from off the speed, sitting off a helmet, that was a different kind of trip from Jujubee than we were used to seeing, especially when he won the Kentucky Futurity. It was just go to the front, roll all the way. I'm faster than all of you. Catch the check. Bye. This time around, he's got to be a bit more tactical. He's got to think a bit more with that brain of his. And I think Andy McCarthy's going to do that. I want nothing to do with that, Gree. Zero. Zip. Nada. I do like it's academic, though, also.
Right. You should consider dropping from the dark roast to the medium roast.
I haven't had coffee in like 8 hours. What are you talking about?
So last year, I gave out Ecury D over Back of the Neck for the Team Sponstead Exacta. That paid a lovely $124. Back of the Neck, post 10, 3-5 over 60-1. Ray, that's how you make money with an odds-on favorite on top. But in this race, Ray, I think it's Ecury D again this year. Look, Ray, what you're forgetting here is you're missing a critical concept of horse racing, Ray. He's turning back.
God.
After 3 quarters, he clearly didn't have the speed to go like the quarter. Now he turns back to a mile.
That's true. That mile he went 153 at Yonkers. Actually, 153 was it 153 he went for the mile at Yonkers? They won't remember. Or was it 55 in the International? Oh yeah. He all these horses they would all walk off the track by the 3 quarters. Go, I can't do that.
I agree with you there, Ray. I think Jujubee is a pretty good one here, but Jujubee Back of the Neck. I do like Ecury a bit, though. I mean, that's about as formidable as it gets. But Team Sponstead 4 in here this time around of the 6, so plenty of chances for him. Derick, your thoughts?
I'll start with Jujubee, who I do not like at all. 4 starts this year, has 1 good effort. Well, he has a few good efforts, a couple of them in qualifiers, too. They all came at the Red Mile. To me, I read a little something into that as to the track surface on a horse that the trainer has even said that, has some foot issues. I'm completely off Jujubee. I won't be using him on any tickets. I do like, in another race where I get to disagree with Ray, so it's great. I like Ecury D. And I could give you a bunch of reasons why. And Ray wants to look at the last race. And how could you bet anyone off that race? 1, he was off 42 days before that race. The horse was, 1, probably too fresh coming into that race. 2, and no one's really noticing in this or looking at this, but there was a bridle change. I mean, he wore an open bridle in the Maple Leaf, and I believe they put a can't see back or something on him. He was wearing some sort of, blinkers where he couldn't see back.
And his shoes were pulled.
Yeah. Well, he always races without front shoes, according to Aki. But they changed the bridle on him, and this thing went to the front. Fresh horse went to the front, and he just gunned, and he was uncontrollable. I think you're going to see a completely different effort from this guy this time. I think the fact that he's 5-2 morning line is just a joke. I don't see him as being the favorite in this race. I see Back of the Neck as being the favorite.
No shot. He's going to get killed because Dexter Dunn's driving him in this race. I'll bet you another beer he's going to be the favorite.
You know what? That's a good point. I meant to say, You're probably right because of Dexter Dunn, and I hated the fact that Dexter was driving the horse because I thought I could get a really good price on this horse without Dexter. I'm not going off him because I'm getting a much better driver now. I mean, that'd be kind of foolish. I like the horse. I think I'm not sure if he's the best horse in the race because back of the neck has been really good lately, but I'm going to use Ecurie D and back of the neck on my ticket. And I really don't see anything else in here I'm scared of at all.
So I see Sarah drove the qualifier 2 starts back for Ecurie, but this is the first time pari-mutually someone besides Aki has driven Ecurie, I believe, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Listen, obviously Dexter's much better than Aki, and I really think that the bridle change is. I'm assuming they're going to go back to a different bridle this time. I'm assuming that the horse is going to be, a little bit less hyper, starting right back, a week or two later. Than he was having 42 days off. We'll see. Am I right? Who knows? Obviously, if he's 3 to 5, I'm not going to bet him. But if I get, I would take 8. I would even take 8 to 5. I would take a shot. I mean, I know no one else probably will. They'll think it's too low of a price, but I'm really not scared of anyone else with the exception of back of the neck. And I just don't know what kind of trip back of the neck is going to get. If he drew inside, I would like him a lot better. From the outside, I know Timmy doesn't want to really leave with this horse. He thinks this horse is much better following. I don't know. I just don't know what kind of trip he's going to get. So I can't, be enamored with him.
So, Ray, last year, Ecurie D, the Breeders' Crown was his 3rd start, and maybe it was a little premature of me to claim he could be Horse of the Year, but this is a 6th start this year. So if he wins this, then Horse of the Year for Ecurie D?
No, because he has
a world record mile in the Cutler and this world record coming in the
Bulldog Hanover. He has to be Bulldog Hanover. Even Trotter of the Year is pushing it with only 5 starts.
Robert, your thoughts on this race?
Very similar to Derick. I think it's 2 horses, and I just have them flipped. I put back of the neck on top. Thought that he's been racing, fantastic. And I mean, he kind of snuck up on me in the Maple Leaf Trot. Hurt me on that occasion when I needed Ecurie D. I think they probably finished similar today. You've got to love the addition of Dexter Dunn. I mean, but you're right. It's going to absolutely kill the price, any hope of a price there. Maybe that's why he is the borderline favorite, which I didn't really think he deserved to be coming into this. Fashion Frenzy, has put together really an incredible 4-year-old season, 7 for 8. Now, yeah, beating up in the Open up here at Mohawk Park, but raced well in the Maple Leaf Trot. Made multiple moves before finishing 4th. Could factor in here. He draws inside. He's going to be pushing out of there. If he gets the right trip, I think he gets a big piece of it. I wouldn't discount him. And Forbidden Trade from the 2nd tier, he's a horse that can trip into as well. I did the same thing as Derick did, though. I actually tossed Jujubee. I have not been that overly impressed, and I just don't like his body of work coming into this for what he's going to have to do and who he has to go up against in this race.
Yeah, you just mentioned Jujubee. Derick left the freaking room. He got so bored. You don't want to hear another word about this horse.
JG puts in the vote for back of the neck. Garnet.
I like back of the neck a lot in this race. Look, whatever was troubling him or whatever they needed to fix, they figured it out in his qualifier on August 25th. Because since then he's been lights out in the Maple Leaf Trot. He rode cover on Ecurie D's cover, and Ecurie D was no match for him, from the tote board home. There was absolutely no doubt who was winning that race. Comes back, wins the Dayton Derby, and then, he had that trip in the International where he had to make that big move. But, the Coke Steel coming behind him had a better trip. Maybe it was a bit better horse. I think the price gets killed on Ecurie D from Dunn taking over. I kind of hate that this horse is raced so irregularly. I get it that it's a European horse. It didn't really bother him last year, but I kind of hate that he rarely races. I'm going to give you a horse maybe to throw in the bottom of the try in the Super that I think is capable and probably go off at about 70 or 80 to 1. Lindy the Great from the rail. He's done great things in the past, and he's only had 3 starts this year, and he comes off a nice win. I know he beat nothing, but he's parked a mile from the 9-hole drawing out. If he can get a spot in the top 5 early, I could see him weaving through for 3rd or 4th late. But back of the neck's going to be another one of my big shots out of these 12 races. I like him a lot.
And Mike?
I waited a while to get to this. There's a lot of points to make in this race. The first one's on Ecurie D, and that's this horse is pretty quirky. So he's never had any other driver, and all of a sudden he gets Dexter Dunn. Well, I don't care if he has, Jesus driving him. He's a quirky horse, and he has his issues. I mean, look at that last race. He was uncontrollable. I think Gawky thinks he might have a better chance of winning on his other horse than he's driving.
I'd take even money if Jesus was driving.
I mean, even then, you would think that this horse could still do something to cause a quirk in the race. So I want nothing to do with him. I want nothing to do with Jujubee, who seems like a Lexington lover. And, he's lightly raced. He's going to be very short on the board because I think that he's 7-2 morning line, and that people will see that last win in fast time and he'll get bet. I think the Fashion Frenzy makes the race very interesting because the horse is basically a one go type. He wants to go to the front. He wants to be up there and pushing the pace and driving it, and they're going to all run at him like they did in the Maple Leaf Trot. And what happened to him there? He backed up. So I like closers. I like It's Academic. He's been doing all these dances against these horses and racing well. He likes this racetrack. I know he has one win this year, but he's going to be off of it. He's going to, put in a run. He kicked 26-3, 2 back. He lost to the beloved Bella Bellini at Hoosier. I mean, God forbid, that's the world's greatest horse race. So you have to like that horse a little bit. And back of the neck.
Yeah.
Well, and like Garnet said, back of the neck, this horse is as sharp as anything. It's probably going to be third choice on the board. And I don't see how the horse gets away any worse than 7th, like the horse did at Woodbine here or at Mohawk here, whenever in the 3-hole in the Maple Leaf Trot. So I don't see him being any worse than 7th early, and that didn't really give him a problem. I want closers in here. I want proven commodities going forward late. So give me the 7, give me the 8 in the race.
I'd also say don't discount Ambassador Hanover for that reason too. That horse can do absolutely anything and always has something.
And Scotty Z,
yeah.
I like him.
Alrighty, race 9, a fitting finish to the Breeders' Crown. The last Breeders' Crown race tonight is the open pace. Allywag versus Bulldog Hanover.
Here's a factoid for you before we go into this, because Bulldog Hanover is presumably horse of the year. Mike's already drinking. It's a bit late into the show, but okay. 38 years of Breeders' Crown. Only 10 horses have not won a Breeders' Crown and still been voted horse of the year. Most recently, Tall Dark Stranger in 2020. The first horse to ever do that, Precious Bunny, in 1991. Interestingly enough, 4 of those 10 were in the last decade. What does this mean for Bulldog?
Well,
I got the name. Hollywood Raiden.
I mean, it's currently Rango's star at the moment, but he's kind of hooked up to some machines right now. Things aren't looking that good for him.
I will go on and start this discussion. So I think part of the discussion we're going to have here, and a lot of people are debating, Bulldog last time out, they throw a clunker in at Lexington. Was it a bad race for him? What was it? I'm still of the opinion, I think it was one of his best races yet. I mean, it's one of those things that when your options are win the Allyrage, which, is a prestigious race, but it's either that for him or go for the world record, they went for it. 26-2, 52-2, whatever it was, 119-1. They went for it full out. Every horse has a bottom. They finally found his bottom. Allywag's a good horse. He sat on his back and out-sprinted him. Here in the Breeders' Crown, this is the Breeders' Crown final. They want to win this race. They'll do what they have to do tactically to win this race, and Bulldog will crush Allywag. And look, if the morning line's right, it's really going to be 4-5 or 7-2. I will happily bet Bulldog at 4-5.
You'd bet anything at 4-5, though.
Well, that's true. Bulldog easy single. Get the job done here. So you're right, Ray. Give me 2-5. Better than 1-5. Give me 2-5.
Actually, 4-5 seems a little high for you. You'd think, this horse is definitely bored.
But Bulldog is clearly the one to beat here. He's clearly the one knock off. He is a single for me. I do not see Allywag beating him twice in a row. Mike.
I agree. I think Bulldog wins. I think he wins well. I liked that race last time. I love the Hoosier race. The Dayton race against that tiring racetrack. Nobody seemed to care. He went 50-1 in there and was parked every step. He's the best horse. He likes this racetrack. What my play would be is try to beat Allywag out of the exacta, because he's never going to get a better trip than that. And he's going to take money now off that win. People are going to see that 46 and say, okay, Allywag has a chance. I prefer others underneath, like Tattoo Artist, who couldn't be any sharper since he lost to Bulldog in that Canadian Derby. And that was September 3rd. 3 wins since, albeit in overnights. He's a nice horse. He's very, very fast off the car. One of the fastest horses off the car that there is. he's going to get a good spot. I think he can beat the rest of them out of the exacta. So that's how I would play.
I saw Barnsdale nodding his head in agreement with Mike, and now he looks like Barnsdale. You look like you have something up your sleeve with this race.
Well, I mean, it was a perfect storm for Allywag. There's no way he's going to be in the pocket in this race. There's just no way. Tattoo Artist is going to outleave him. I'm looking a little bit here at American Courage potentially leaving. He took back last time in the 1.25 mile race, probably strategic, some kind of strategy there. It didn't work, so he's probably going to leave too. I kind of think, yeah, I would, if it's not the favorite exactor, I would go to Bulldog over Tattoo Artist. And I think you have a shot that, it's going to be the second highest paying exactor, and that might be where the value is, because Tattoo's probably going to be in the lead. Bulldog's going to pass him on the backstretch, probably in the second quarter, and then the race might be over right there. But I think Bulldog rebounds. I agree with everything Edison said. I don't think he threw in a clunker at all. He paced the fastest 3/4 of the history of the track on a track that wasn't fast. That's what everybody was saying, right? So he just got beat. Some of them get beat. Sometimes you get beat.
That's the other thing to say for that race. They went 146 flat. Obviously, Bulldog loses by length, so 146 and 1 on a track that wasn't even fast either. I mean, usually you break a couple world records that weekend. They weren't doing that on that track. So to go 146 flat, that really should emphasize how impressive that was. But, I think the counter argument for Allywag in terms of trying to beat him out of that exacta spot, I realized Tattoo Artist wasn't in either race, but look 3 back in that Hoosier Park race and then in the Dayton Derby. Both times, Allywag is just weaving through traffic late and still gets up for second to be right behind Bulldog. So
yeah, he can get there.
He's not going to get in the pocket, but he might just do it again anyway.
Yeah. Big exacta with this is the planned second in that Dayton Derby that Alley Scab.
What's a big exacta, Ray? $5?
$3?
I think it was like $10 if I remember.
Whoa.
Right. That is big for you, man.
That was big. I don't want to say
that is.
Let's also give like a participation trophy to my pal Joe for showing up here.
Ray,
I think it's nice that my pal Joe is here.
Ray, you firing these $10 exactas is why we're meeting Wednesday at Harrisburg Church at 6 p.m. for that GA meeting. But that's a different topic.
You're going there. I'm dropping
like
you off, and then I'm heading to Dairy Queen because it's right down the road.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's simple for Derick.
Is that all you have to say, Derick?
He's got to unmute himself first.
What else does he have to say?
I think him mouthing his words with just the shirt is his answer.
Well, he's also not unmuting himself, so... Oh, does Derick realize he's muted?
I forgot I muted myself when I walked away. Anyway.
You sure the stuff Ray was saying about you?
I could hear him. I just couldn't say anything. Allywag Hanover is a very good horse. He's a great trip horse. He got the trip against Bulldog last time, and he beat him. To me, Bulldog Hanover is clearly the better horse. Whether or not you want to try and beat Allywag for second, you can. I think Tattoo Artist, that other people have mentioned, is a very logical horse to go to the front and perhaps get a big piece of this. But I just don't see Bulldog Hanover losing this race.
All right, Ray, you're picking Bulldog, so let's just give you JD's question instead. Go back to that drawing board. Give us the fancy drawing here. Over under 148. Go draw the physics again. What time do they go with?
Oh, there's no physics about that. You got to incorporate like whatever's in the air, because apparently that matters. And also like the temperature there. No, I also on top of that,
7-3.
I'm not on Bulldog here. And here's my theory. Okay. This is the 12th Breeders' Crown final. There is a strong possibility that by this point, I am going to be tired and possibly in the hole. So why not have some fun and say Tattoo Artist can win? He's going to be an okay price to throw a couple bucks on. It'll give me a little. And on top of that, like I won't be bored because there'll be exciting races. But, I'm going to be doing press. I'm doing all sorts of work through the night. I'm going to get to this point. I'm going to be like half-brained, present, and I need some kind of like monkey endorphin rush to get me back into it for the next 4 hours of press I have to handle.
We need to Robert to save us from Ray.
Wait, Ray, you're already thinking about how much money you're going to lose and be in the hole by the last race. This is why
I'm not thinking about it. I'm saying there's a possibility. I'm recognizing it's a possibility. You have to recognize it's a possibility. So Tattoo Artist to me is just a screw it. Let's bet it for fun, even if Bulldog wins.
That's really positive thinking, Ray. For me, it's Bulldog Hanover. It's all about the Bulldog. And Tattoo artist has I'm going to say quietly, because it is kind of, quietly in the sense that he gets overshadowed by Bulldog Hanover. It's been an incredible season for tattoo artist, and he's been unreal at Mohawk Park since that second place finish to Bulldog in the Pacing Derby. But it's just going to be Bulldog's night. I agree with everything that's been said. They went for it for the fans and tried to, go for the world record in Lexington, and it didn't work out. But that's the only reason why I think he got beat. They could have went out and just cakewalked it. They didn't. And I think he goes out there and absolutely crushes.
147-1, the time prediction for Mark Anderson. And now
there's no way they go 47.
No chance. It's going to be 30 degrees.
Over under is 48-4.
Yeah, over 48 AI. I have to think otherwise there with the weather. So with that, we will turn our attention to this pick 5 sequence. Race number 10 is a preferred 2, so we'll go on and turn to middle pick 5 tickets. Again, $100,000 guaranteed pool. And we'll go in reverse order this time. So Robert, you can start us off this time. Pick 5 ticket.
All right, 1, 3, 5, and 9 in the opening leg. So 4 deep there. Again, it's a race I don't want to be too thin. By the missile, single for me. That's the 2. And then 2, 5, 8, 11 in the trots. And then, let me see here, singling up on Bulldog, obviously. And then the final, which is actually an interesting preferred, right? That's an interesting preferred too. It's kind of a tough race. I'm going to go with the outside 5 horses, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got Carbine as my top selection in there, but I think there's a bunch of them that can obviously win. So 5 deep in that finale. So what is that? $16.20? Not bad.
All righty. Ray?
Can you please come back to me on this one? Thank you.
Derek?
Yeah, I got the 3, 5, 9 in the first leg, though. I'm going to play a second ticket, keying Cool Papa Bell as well for more than the minimum amount. 2, 5 in the second leg by the missile in Pebble Beach. I think that's pretty obvious. 5 and 8, Curie D back of the neck. Bulldog Hanover is a key for me. And then in the last leg, 5, 6, and 8. I think it's interesting that Todd McCarthy, all the drivers from the U.S. are going home, but Todd McCarthy's sticking around to drive the Alanya horse in the end. I think that's kind of interesting. So it's $7.20, and the minimum amount for if you keep Cool Papa Bell on the tickets, $2.40. So we could play that quite a few times.
Ray, is now the time to come back to you?
No, go to the next guy, please.
Garnet?
Is this the middle or late pick 5? I'm lost here.
Middle.
Middle races 6 through 10. Mike, you want to go?
I got it.
Oh, okay.
1, 3, 4, 5 with 2, 5 with 5, 6, 8 with 5 with 6, 8 for 960.
Garnet, the 5 that Garnet mentioned in race number 9 is actually the 6.
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Bulldog Hanover was a 6. He meant to key Bulldog, and he didn't.
Unless you're singling American Courage, Garnet.
That's right. No, I meant to keep Bulldog.
We fixed your ticket for online. Don't worry.
Jesus, thank you. I'm number dyslexic. Even when I check them, I like Codename Cigar Box a lot in the 10th. I'm sure Mike's going to tell us he does too.
I do like that one. 960 for me. 5-9 in the first race. Branded by Lindy. Cool Papa Bell. I'll use the 2 in the 7th race just because the ticket's cheap. By the Missile Pebble Beach. Lock that race up. 7, 8, 10 in the trot. We talked about that one. It's Academic, back of the neck, Ambassador Hanover, all prices, Key Bulldog, and then spread out in the last 5, 6, 8, 9. I think Wheels on Fire can get the front. Codename Cigar Box is racing incredibly well since he's arrived. Carbine can win if he trips out, and then American History is really impossible to leave off. You never know when he's going to fire.
2, 4, 5, 9 for me to start it out. That colt or that 3-year-old colt trot that I really have no opinion in. Race number 7, the colt pace. Give me By the Missile as a single. Race 7, 5, 6, 8. Not too much of an opinion there either. Bulldog the 6, a single in race 9. And it is 5, 6 for me here at Codename Cigar Box. And my dear friend Wheels on Fire in that preferred 2. $4.80. Both my pick 5 plays together combined less than $10. And the Ravens are up 24-13. Go Ray.
Oh, that was quick. Okay, yeah, so now I have my ticket because I forgot to do it because editing Harness Land is a long endeavor, and so I forgot I had to do this. I'm 3, 5, 9 in the first leg. Slay, branded by Lindy, Cool Papa Bell. Second leg, I'm singling Pebble Beach. I don't care. Third leg, I'm actually gonna go deep. I'm gonna go 6, 7, 8, 10. I like those two Svenstead horses, and it's academic for some kind of surprise. You don't have to do this. You could single Bulldog Hanover, or if you want some juice, as James Caan says in The Gambler, you can single Tattoo Artist like I might because I'm bored. And in the last leg, I'm 4, 6, 7, 9. Codename Cigar Box I thought about as a single because this horse has been super sharp the last couple of weeks. Mappos Lion might be able to work out. He always works out a trip. Maybe something can play into his lap for once. American History, though, always likes to go to the front in these races. And Woodmere Steel Deal wasn't that bad last out. So that's $9.60 for 20 cents.
Alrighty, amazingly, last year we're actually shorter. I think last year we were just over 2 hours. We were 1 hour 50 minutes. We are wrapping this up now. JD thanks us for the show. We are wrapping up this show one last time here with our thank of our sponsors and thank all of my panelists. We'll go through the panelists first. Mike Pribozie to my left. Mike, Nahu Picks plug one last time.
Absolutely. NahuPicks.com each and every day. Meadows, Century Downs, but this weekend, especially Woodbine and Meadowlands comes back next week. We got some Rosecroft too during the week, so check it out every day.
Garnet, DRF Harness, and Ontario Racing plug.
DRF Harness, Derick will give you the exact address because I can never remember it. If you go to the Ontario Racing website, you'll find Mike, I, and a couple other people handicapping the B tracks on the Tips from the Pro section. Robert and I were promoting Red Shores, Charlottetown, that's hard to say, tonight, and we're doing a little bit of that, and Summerside, and just about any other track that's racing in the world.
Derick, DRF Harness plug.
DRF.com/harness is the URL. You can get the news. You can go to the newsletter there, which is DRF Harness Digest. We came out with a nice, preview edition of the Breeders' Crown. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, DRF Harness. And you didn't ask me the thing I'm most looking forward to, which is coming up to Canada for the Breeders' Crown, and it's not supposed to rain.
Oh, that's
true. What I'm looking forward to.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. You know what, Derick? I did
always rain.
I did that on the Hambo show too. You're right. I asked you to prepare that, and then I didn't even ask it. Mike, what are you most looking forward to this weekend?
Just being here with the boys. I mean, just get to see all the guys: John Rawlis, Ron Willis, Garnet, Derick, Robert Reid, all these guys, Sean Nolan, all these guys. I can't wait.
Garnet, what are you most looking forward to?
A couple of these races that I mentioned that, Jiggy Jog and Joviality and Pebble Beach and By the Missile. So some of those races that have the potential to be really, really great races with great horses.
Ray, your plug for Harness Land and whatever else you got.
I was going to say, what you were going to say, what I'm most looking forward to. What I'm most looking forward to is the premiere of a new episode of Harness Land on Horse Racing Nation tomorrow, coming out sometime Friday afternoon. I got to go back to finishing editing it tonight, and then it goes up tomorrow because I'm on a week. I produced this thing in a week.
Are you digging a grave again, or what are you doing?
No, this is a spectacular. I had a pyrotechnics department. This was a loaded episode that I somehow managed to shoot in under 24 hours. That comes out on the horse.
Writer?
Huh? What?
Did you bring on a new writer for this episode?
No.
I like the filming is excellent, but I think the writing needs a little work.
He's supposed to be a writer.
Okay, Derick. Maybe we'll look to expand our writers' room a little bit. I know some people I could ask.
In 2023, this has to be reversed. Ed DeRosa has to be paid money to put up with Ray Cotolo rather than paying Ray Cotolo money to do Harness Land.
You know, Ed and I are like tit for tat. You don't understand the dynamic brain trust that's happening between us right now at Horse Racing Nation. I'll have tip sheets up on Friday and Saturday on the website for the Breeders' Crown over there. Aside from that, I do absolutely everything. I do press for the Red Mile. I'm going to be doing press for Meadowlands most likely, sometimes do Breeders' Crown. I do stuff for DRF Harness. As much as this industry refuses to recognize me, I'm in its blood. I'm like all of the blood cell. I'm like the T cells attacking left and right, all the poisons in the body. You can't get rid of me, and you don't want to either.
Robert, thing you're most looking forward to this weekend, and also, of course, our listeners out there can find all of your information in the Horse Players Journal, either in the in-print version of the Mohawk program or the online version. But also, you do some handicapping on air for some other racetracks, so plug those while we're at it too.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, how do I follow that after Ray there? But no, yeah. So me and Garnet have actually been doing some work with racing and PEI, as he mentioned. It's been a lot of fun. Red Shores, Charlottetown, and at Summerside as well. So we've been providing selections there and some social media content for them. Really nice racing, a lot of good action there. And another place they race, and I say race, I mean that there's a lot of action on the races. That's the Raceway at Western Fair. I'm on the broadcast every Tuesday night with Sugar Shannon Doyle. we have a great time there. So
That's awesome.
It's a real nice track to check out, and usually nice payouts. And I do the selections every night for racing there, but I'm on the broadcast on Tuesday nights, and most looking forward to, nicer weather, right? We're supposed to get some decent weather. Hopefully a lot of people at the track, seeing everyone there. And of course, for me, Bulldog Hanover, I just want to see him rebound and do so with authority.
All righty. Well, for me, most looking forward to Stockade, Sealster, and Fashion Schooner. You know, last year, the horse I really looked forward to last year in British Weekend was a Buckavet at Hanover, my nice little 9-1 price, and terrible trip, made a break through the stretch. So I'll see what I get this year with my two little prices I like. But one last time before we wrap it up here, last 60 seconds of the show. First and foremost, once again, thanking Woodbine Mohawk Park, Woodbine Entertainment Group for their sponsorship of the show, as well as the Hamiltonian Society. Speaking of the Hamiltonian Society, I think I forgot to mention at the beginning, I'm wearing this nice little vest for the Breeders' Crown from 2020.
Oh, well, you got a vest?
Here at Hoosier Park that Moira Fanning of the Hamiltonian Society so graciously gave me in the 2021 Dexter Cup at Freehold. So very appreciative of that, and I'll be wearing this proudly all week. And clearly, we're all showing off our Breeders' Crown merch we have here. So a lot of Breeders' Crown stuff. And again, we thank In the Money Media, as always, for sponsoring these shows as well. And again, we wish everyone the best of luck this weekend at Woodbine Mohawk Park on the Breeders' Crown. Thank all my panelists, as usual, for coming. And we thank AJ for producing for us. And the next time you'll see us in this format, hey, it won't be too long of a wait. How about 4 weeks from now on TVG Finals Night, coming up November 26th at the Meadowlands. Next time we'll see a lot of these horses square off before divisional honors are decided. Good night.
That was quick.